March 2023, a group of researchers formed the Truth Mafia, a collective determined to investigate conspiracies and occult mysteries that have been buried for centuries. With a passion for uncovering the truth, they delve into the darkest corners of history, pop culture, and ancient mysteries, seeking answers to questions that have plagued humanity for ages. The Truth Mafia is led by Tommy Truthful, a man shrouded in mystery and intrigue, dedicated to uncovering the hidden truths behind some of the world's most perplexing and enigmatic phenomena. Their research has led them down countless rabbit holes, from deciphering ancient symbols to exploring the hidden meanings behind popular media and literature. Despite the risks and challenges they face, the Truth Mafia remains steadfast in their quest for knowledge. Will their investigations lead to groundbreaking revelations, or will they unravel an even deeper web of secrets and lies? Only time will tell in this ongoing saga of conspiracy and intrigue.
Welcome to another episode of the Truth Mafia podcast with your host, Tommy Truthful. And today we're going to have a special guest I'm going to introduce here in a second. We're going to talk about what's going on with Hurricane Helene, how it might be connected to the plasma apocalypse, and, just what's going on in reality right now. A lot of people out there, I heard, are without their phones, and it's kind of interesting that Verizon, the outage happened right after they got this deal to manage 6,339 mobile towers across the U.S. for $3.3 billion. And we all know that 33 number. So, I thought that was kind of fascinating. But there's all kinds of crazy things going on in the world that we're going to cover and get into. We got some videos queued up for you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. And just to protect ourselves, as always, this is called fair use and is allowed for purpose of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under US 17107. Down below in the description, if you want to get a personal decode from your boy Tommy Truthful and find out your role in the simulation, that link is down there below. Use promo code Decode the Matrix. And don't forget to get my brother Jay Dreamer's new book that he's got out right now. Jay, what's up, bro?
Hey,
I heard
the Truth Mafia.
You finished the book, huh?
Yeah, the part 2. So second book. So the first one was all about the plasma apocalypse and the Cliff's Notes and the highlights. The second one really focuses more on the place of origin. So all of the myths and legends surrounding Hyperborea and the Garden of Eden and the Axis Mundi, plasma volcanoes and everything.
That's awesome, bro. I can't wait to read it. I mean, the first one was phenomenal. So I know this one will be pretty cool too. I just wanted to, everybody's talking about HARP right now and geoengineering. Like that's the big trending topic with what's going on in the world. We had record amounts of flooding ripped through North Carolina. It just got devastated, Jay. It's really unreal what happened down there in Florida. And the interesting thing about it all, which we'll bring up here in a minute, I got a video. I found out there was actually Hurricane Helene in 1958 that started to form on September 21st. And then it reached its peak on September 27th. So right about the same time frame, the same freaking name, it went the same route. And if you count from that day, brother, September 21st until this one, it was exactly 66 years and 6 days. And then if you, I like looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
HARP hurricanes equal 666. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, man, what's going on here? But with the plasma apocalypse and what people call pole shift and the Hopi prophecy, I was kind of thinking, well, what if, playing devil's advocate here, what if the government was using this geoengineering technology to try to actually reverse or stop what's happening due to this cyclical event?
Yes. I like that kind of thinking, man. Like just at least to just check ourselves and run a quick self-diagnostic to make sure we're not just front running or going with the crowd or the flow, because it's easy to just point fingers. It's so easy to blame and stuff. But if we look back, or I've looked back at the ancient records, like for example, a long time ago, these tribes performed human sacrifices and whatnot, and they wouldn't say that it was evil or anything. They would say, "Hey, this is for the greater good. We're trying to stop the apocalypse from happening." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and the people were clapping. They were happy. You know what I mean? Like they weren't all, "Oh my God, this is terrible." Like they were thankful for, and it was an honor. Oftentimes, these people volunteered actually.
Yeah, like the Aztecs, the Mayans during these type of cyclical events,
Yeah.
and so now they're telling us, Jay, that we have two moons now, and and it's very interesting because they said, oh yeah, don't worry, it happened before in 2006. Well, I'm 41 years old. I don't never remember no two moons.
Yeah, dude, the sky's turning into a bowl of Lucky Charms. It's like they got two moons and lucky stars and green flying comets and horned devil cryogenic ice volcano comets and all kinds of weird additions to our sky.
Things we've never ever seen before, and it's kind of like, man, are they normalizing it? But you would think so. Like, again, me playing devil's advocate, I'm thinking, if I'm the government and I know this cyclical event's going to happen, because they keep records of all this, and we know, if you really study the plasma apocalypse and the cyclical event, there's so much evidence of it, and there's so much evidence that they suppressed it. And I why wouldn't you? Because
Mhm.
if you knew that 70%, not in every single case, but some of the bigger ones, a big majority of the populace, could die off. And
Yeah,
I know there's smaller ones, right? And then
yeah,
there's
cataclysms. I mean, there's
right.
still pole shifts and stuff, but
But you
that
have
doesn't
so
mean the sky has to rip open or whatever. But I like the path that you were going down with the harp thing and wondering what it's all about, and could they be trying to maybe either stop it or possibly minimize the damage that will be done, right? So let's suppose that the plasma apocalypse really revolves around a pressure release, right? There's many other aspects to it, but if we've gone a real long time since the last major apocalyptic cycle, which brought about the oceans, then the next time we go through a major one, it's going to be big. It's going to be a huge release, and it's going to be devastating. So it stands to reason that for those who are in power or the elite or whatnot, not all of them. I mean, it seems to me like there's many that are getting ready to actually leave. That they're going to blast off, try to go out through the depressurization point, or possibly go to Mount Meru and try to go back into the earth as well, to the place of safety. But inevitably, they're going to have family members that stay behind. Inevitably, there's those that are not going to be approved to go, or haven't proven themselves to be able to go, or that just choose to stay. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure they only have so many that can escape this world when the time comes. So it makes sense that at least for the sake of their own families who they're leaving behind, that they would try to set them up for success, by minimizing the damage in their particular regions or the world across even. So HARP could be something like that. Anything that they're using to manipulate the skies. That also goes back to like things like the government projects. You know what I mean? In Antarctica, especially any of the Arctic projects or operations and stuff. The one where they were trying to detonate nukes up there in the sky at the
Operation
Kármán line.
Fishbowl.
Yeah, Fishbowl. Fishbowl, Dominic, those ones along those lines. You know what happens when you detonate a nuke up in the atmosphere, up near the Kármán line or whatever?
They did it 11 times.
Yeah,
11 times.
and it creates a huge electromagnetic pulse, which reminded me of, because you know how I do the truth in movies, right?
Yeah.
In the Matrix, that's how they get rid of those plasma tentacle looking squiddies that they call squiddies or whatever, the Sentinels, right? That's how they get rid of them, is an electromagnetic pulse. Anytime that they get near, that's like the plasma coming in. And then if they have nukes up there in the sky, they can just detonate those, create a huge electromagnetic pulse, and they care less about the fallout or whatever, especially since the jet stream will carry much of it or whatever to the extremities. But the EMP would minimize or in theory, it would minimize the damage done by the cosmic thunderbolts of the god or gods that are, coming down in the form of serpentine dragons and fireworms and stuff like that. And so that's what I was telling you earlier. That's my theory. That's one of my working theories on what do you call that? The satellite things that we were talking about up there in the sky.
Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink. I have a strong feeling that those might be bombs. Like, I think those might be bombs. I think they're just covering the sky with this net, to detonate it when the time comes, to create a huge EMP that, could possibly prevent the plasma from coming down too far or whatever. I don't know. It's just like an idea that I had.
No, you might be onto something with that. I always like to look at it from, both points of view, just to see, because if we stay in the same mind thinking we're never, you're just going to be stuck in an echo chamber. But Donut, shout out to my brother Donut Factory. He did a post on Starlink, and I showed you before we went live the eye in the sky. It looks pretty crazy,
Yes.
their new logo.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. What's that silver ball in the left-hand corner?
I think that's one of them things in your house.
On my house.
No, they have them in the house. I'm not sure though what that silver ball is in the left hand bottom. But I think it's like, how you have Alexa and all that type of stuff. It could be something like that. I'm not really sure. I know he put CERN over here. Then you got the ABC sign. That's the new Starlink sign, which is it's kind of like the all-seeing eye. I want Donut might be in the comments. If he's in the comments, brother Donut, what is that in the bottom left-hand corner? But it does have that same look to it, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, it totally does.
Does with the same exact patterns. And that's what Donut really studies, is the symbols and stuff. So it's definitely fascinating, man.
That's what I call the doom shape. I think that's the doom shape in the Colburn Bible.
In the Colburn Bible?
Yeah. Have you read the Colburn Bible?
I've heard of it, but I've never read it myself.
Bro, you'll see if you ever do. If you don't want to read it, I did a whole video on it, just kind of like pointing out like the interesting parts. But man, they go deep into this crazy cosmic anomalies that they were witnessing, and they all saw this shape, and they called it the doom shape up in the heavens. And the way they describe it, it looks similar to these shapes that are on the screen right now. When they saw that, they knew, they were in another era, another epic, another time.
And that's what all the big astrologers are talking about right now. I know that's what me and Donut was talking about before we went live. And, like we're moving into a whole new time, and things are getting ready to change. And then that eclipse coming up on October 4th. And what's very interesting about that is this hurricane that happened, Hurricane Helene, the one that took place in 1958, it ended on October 4th. So there's I'll show you guys on the Wikipedia. And then if you guys remember, here, let me show you a screenshot. I actually opened the thing so I could show you. I did this decode a while back on, I don't know if you ever watched it, Jay. I know I tried to get you to watch it a few times. Evil. Remember that series Evil I was telling you about?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's Evil season 4. They actually discontinued it, dude. And this is my members only. Like 99% of our content is 100% free, but like any content creator, I do have a members only part too. And any of my members only content, like if you wanted to watch this video and not be a member, there's a link in the description. You can go to my Patreon and watch it for $3, just the video. And all mine, you're watching the actual series with me as I'm breaking it down. So it's pretty cool. You get to watch it with me. But in this episode, Evil, season 4, episode 10, Leland got a note on his phone that he was dead. So he's actually Christian Bouchard's mom. She snuck into the place where he worked and typed on the computer that he died. And, he was freaking out because he's obviously alive. He's reading the phone, but on the phone you got the eclipse, bro, and it says Tuesday, October 4th. So October 4th is the day Joe Biden sent out the FEMA text alert at 2:18 Eastern Standard Time. Donut told me that too. And 2:18 is kind of a connection to the whole 128 code. It's just the numbers rearranged differently. You know what I mean? 128, 218, or 821. And for any of you guys that are new here, 9/11, the towers collapsed at 10:28 a.m. and the tower did, and then the bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh on January 28th of 2022. Matthew Perry died on October 28th, and that's 128. And then his girlfriend, Julia Roberts, she released that movie Leave the World Behind on 12/8. So there's this whole 128 connection with the Challenger blew up on January 28th of 1986 too. So there's like this whole 128 connection. The first D-Wave quantum computer was 128 qubits, and then CERN equals 128. Key to the Abyss is 128. So there's a crazy 128 connection, and that was the day Joe did that. So I think there's something up with this October 4th date, bro. And that's 2 days after the eclipse, the Ring of Fire eclipse. And look what he has on his freaking phone. Freaking fire eclipse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Dono made a good point too when we were chatting earlier about it being Rosh Hashanah, or the new year. There's these different New Years, or times that the new year is celebrated in different cultures or whatever. But this is the ancient Hebraic New Year, which is really interesting that, these things would line up exactly whenever they line up with the clock keeping system of the luminaries up there in the heavens.
Yeah, this is going to be, like you and Donut were saying, this is going to be a big one because of, it lining up with that Jewish New Year and everything. Definitely, as far as the occult goes, they'll definitely probably have several events taking place, and but I can just feel it in the air, bro. Something is happening right now that we're not being told everything about. I really feel like I'm in that movie Greenland. I swear to God, I've said that for the last couple. I feel like I'm in that movie, bro.
That one hit close to home.
Yeah, it was so pretty much like, remember when he went in the remember in Greenland when he went in the store and he got the notification on his phone that him and his family were chose to go to Greenland?
Yeah.
Right before that, he looks up in the sky and he's seen that comet Clark coming, and it looked just like Nibiru, bro. It looked like the wing disc.
Yeah.
Had two giant wings coming off of it.
Right.
The other night in the sky, I guess they seen some weird stuff. This was going on. I don't really know what it is.
Yes. The fireballs. See, that's a lot of stuff that we start seeing too. People start seeing a lot of fireballs whenever the land of Oz is coming upon you, because that's what the witch throws. But these are fireballs. Those are not rocks that are slowing down. You can't travel 30,000 miles an hour, 50,000 miles an hour, or whatever, and then just hit the brakes because there's some atmosphere. The air is in the way. And so it just slows down almost and then it just disappears. Why isn't it a fireball all the way down into the earth like they show in the movies?
Yeah. And look at the sun there. Don't the sun look weird too? Like the sun's all, that's supposed to be the sun, I guess.
Yes. That's also weird times when you can't tell if it's the sun or the moon, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so bizarre right now, bro. And now we're like people are saying, we got freaking 2 moons now. I mean, and we're supposed to have 2 moons for 53 days until I think it's November. It might be after the 18th or something, but it's 53 days from the 29th, which is interesting because the day we had 2 moons, guys, that's the day CERN was established in 1954 on September 29th. So that's when Yeah, that's allegedly when we first started seeing them, bro. So I'm waiting for people to start powering up, Jay. I'm waiting.
Oh, they will. Believe me, they're gonna power up.
I'm thinking the superpowers are coming soon, bro.
All kinds of weird stuff.
they better hope I don't get no crazy superpowers, because I'll tell you, I got a few evil people that I'm gonna go have a little chat with.
Right.
As
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
There won't be no more. And probably like back in the old days, I've heard you talk about it before, where the kings would pay them knights to go hunt the monsters and stuff that would
Yes.
come after these events, and
Yes.
they
They
probably
hired
tried to
them.
they probably tried to hunt down the people too that had abilities, because
Yes.
that's a danger to them, to the establishment.
Yes, for sure. That I think that's one of the major things that happened during the just after the Dark Ages, when they were rounding up all the people of power, the powerful people, whatever names they went by. They sure were rounding up people that seemed to have some kind of otherworldly power. You know what I mean?
Right.
And torturing them, and they could not kill them unless their heads were severed. That's the only way that they could die. And even
Wow.
then, sometimes not.
Yeah, there's this story about this dude. He was from Africa, and this is like in the 80s or something. And he was supposed to have these abilities, right? And so they tried to kill him like 4 or 5 times, dude. They got him on a plane, and the last time they like got him on this plane, killed him, tried to chop him up, and he still came back. And then he told him, I know some of you in the comments probably heard this story before. He told him that in the future there will be many of me that come, and you won't be able to stop us all. And like they tried to
That's
kill him
right.
like 5 different times, and he just
Yes,
kept manifesting.
that's going to happen. I'm telling you, man. The fantasy and the fiction and all the things that people just thought were make believe and old wives' tales and not real or whatever. It's not just going to come back one day, like in the distant future and over millions of years, like we're conditioned to think. It's all coming back at once. Like it's all going to happen quickly. And these things, we're starting to see little tastes of things, dude. For example, mutations. Like
Oh, yeah.
mutations used to be something that was normal throughout the world in ancient writings. Even like whenever if you read Zechariah Sitchin's works and his interpretations of the Anunnaki and stuff, they talked about how the Anunnaki tried to make the humans, but they failed miserably like 100 times, and they created all these weird mutated versions that like didn't really work out or pan out. And then you have all the weird mutant tribes and stuff from before the Dark Ages and stuff. And that's going to come back, dude. Like people that when the conditions of this world change extremely, then the people will change extremely. But however, that extreme will just be the new normal. It'll be normal for those people that are born into that world. It'll be weird for us as survivors who make it from this
Right.
age to the next. But in the world to come, that'll be normal. And these modern days will be the fantasy and the legends and the stories of old.
That'll be so cool. Yeah, we'll be like, but won't we be people like us that were born in this time with different atmosphere and stuff? Won't we be stronger than people that are born
Yes.
in the plasma apocalypse thing?
Yeah, in general. I mean, there's, you know what I mean? There's exceptions and stuff, but if so hypothetically, let's say that the atmosphere goes through a major depressurization event, right? That means much of the atmosphere leaves and it escapes and it goes out of this world and into space, or however people want to see that, right? But we rapidly lose atmosphere. When that happens, one of the scientific principles is that however much atmosphere escapes will be equal to a brand new buoyant force that essentially causes things to weigh much less. And if it's strong enough of a buoyant force, things will float up into the heavens. You know what I mean? So
Wow. And
like,
maybe
so
that's
have you ever done that experiment in like school or something where you have like a 2-liter bottle and there's like a little floaty guy, or cereal boxes used to have one of these dudes, and you like put it into a 2-liter bottle and he kind of just floats in the middle. But when you squeeze the 2-liter bottle when it's closed and you put pressure on it, the guy drops down to the bottom. And then when you let go, he floats back up to the top. Have you ever done that?
no, that's interesting though.
It's the exact same principle on a small scale. That's what happens to our world. When there's pressure and there's all this atmospheric pressure and it increases, then what we perceive as being gravity, the mainstream perceives as being gravity, it also increases, which adds to the perceived weight of everything in this world, which adds to the perceived and experienced density to everything in this world, including our bones, our skin, our muscles, our bodies. In this world, we're just walking around naturally exercising under extreme weight conditions that were not the way it was in the ancient world.
That is true. So yeah, when that releases, we'd probably be able to jump high and shit too, bro.
Yes. Yeah, because everything will weigh less. There will be increased buoyancy. So it's just like Superman. It's all the same Superman qualities and stuff, jumping high, leaping far, running fast. And this is not just in modern comic books, but this was described. Man, there's this. Okay, so like, how like there's extra biblical books, like Enoch and Jubilees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's so many good ones, but one of them is called, I think it's called the Testament of the 12 Tribes, or the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, I believe, which is like the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel. And it's basically each leader wrote down his own little diary and they put it together in this collection. So there's just 12 collections of letters from these tribal leaders. And when he was describing the leaders of these tribes, it described these feats that they could do. Like, one thing I remember off the top of my head is the leader Naphtali. He could run as fast as a cheetah. He could keep up with cheetahs. You know what I mean? And another guy was describing as being able to leap over gigantic walls in a single bound. That's exactly how it was described in this book. And
wow,
this is an ancient book.
I actually have a friend named Naphtali. He has his own channel and stuff. He does content on YouTube. That's his name, I swear, Naphtali. He's a pretty good content creator. But
yeah, so this also helps me to understand how, people always ask, like, well, how did humans move such giant bricks, when it comes to whatever megaliths and stuff, right? Oh, they would have had to have done this. They would have had to have done that. Most of these people I've ever heard saying this, they're projecting modern conditions and modern man and what we are like today with these conditions onto the ancient past. And they're saying, do it now. Do it under our conditions. But what if the conditions were completely different and the people were completely different? And I've heard people say, like, well, there was giants, which is true, but we would be almost equal in strength to those giants because of our dense muscles and things weighing a lot less. You know what I mean? So it's like we would be the superheroes, which are much smaller, and then the giants would be able to help out or whatever. But you'd be able to lift up things easily. Just, you saw that new King Kong movie, right? Where they went into the earth and those dudes were lifting up the thing, and he's like, oh, the gravity's different down here.
Yep.
That's what they're showing.
They lived longer down there, remember?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, they didn't age when they were down there and in the earth, because that one lady, she was down there forever and she didn't even freaking age.
Yeah, totally. So that's all of the electrical charge there, it's energized right now. All the energy that we're missing, energy on the surface, man. You're getting me all hyped up right now. we're missing energy up here. It's being siphoned into the earth. It's seeping down into the earth, which means the earth is charging energy. So whoever lives in the earth or in the underworld, or the underdark and the underneath and the upside down, etc., they're in the golden age right now. They're the ones who are they're receiving all the power, all of the energy, cellular regeneration, and all the benefits and stuff. So where do you think a lot of them are going to go or want to go if they know it's going to transfer up here one day?
They're going to come up.
Yeah.
And then all the movies, dude, like the Harvard. There's a bunch of ancient stories like that. These serpent type entities that were very similar. They always talk about these subterranean lizards, right?
Yes.
And the serpent type entities, they would come up and they would feed on humanity. And they say that movie 30 Days and what was it called? 30 Nights or something. Remember where all the vampires went up there to Alaska and it was dark for 30 days? You remember that movie? And they just went through the whole town
night or something.
yeah, something like that. So it was supposed to be
Something like
based
that.
on these ancient ones that live underneath of us and come up. And they say Jupiter is sending that whole harvest, how they come and harvest the planet. It's all based on them entities. I mean, in the Talmud, they talk about some freaking aquatic lizards, dude. You know, but man, I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on there. Is that it? Maybe Dagon and his crew? It kind of is like the Nephilim, but spelled a little different. Nephilim,
I'm checking it
because
out
they
right now.
caused the downfall of the world. Name a demon. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Name of a species of lizard living in the water. When I seen that, I'm like, what in the heck is that all about? One of my buddies sent me that, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And then 1934, they had that article in the LA Times where they talked about finding all these lizard catacombs under LA. Remember that?
Yeah,
And bro, they said that they went down there because of some cataclysm. That's
of
why they went
course.
underground.
Yeah. Yes. And you know what's crazy? Speaking of the underground lizards as well, it reminded me of I just broke down the decoded Jurassic Park like yesterday or something. And I was reading through the comments. I always go afterwards and I read what everyone says in the chat or whatever. And one person made the point that lizards just keep on growing. So if you have lizards that also are experiencing cellular regeneration and they're going to live for hundreds of years, then naturally they're just going to grow and grow and grow and keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that they don't really stop. I don't know, I haven't researched that, but that's what they said. I thought that was an interesting point. And on top of that, have you heard of that book, Vril, The Power of the Coming Race?
Oh yeah.
Have you read that?
Um, I don't know if I read that one, but
Okay.
I'm
It's
in the
good.
middle. I've heard of it though, but
They
I
have
am.
those.
But what about this one? You know about this one, the Florida Project? Which,
No. I
oh
know
yeah,
that V symbol because I used to watch that TV show.
like dude, there's so much crazy connections with this real thing and these lizards, bro. I think there's something to it, man. I think there's something to this, some type of see, I don't think they're from a faraway star system though, the draconian star system. That's what I think is all the BS about it. I think they're subterranean. I think they're here, bro. I think they're right under our feet, them little lizards. And I don't know, are they, I don't trust them
Yeah.
myself. Maybe
No, I
maybe
think you're right.
maybe there could be some good ones. I don't know, but
Well, let's think about this. If there's as above, so below. So if there are those below, it may be that there are also those that may descend from above one day as well, or they all come at once and clash, and you have Clash of the Titans or the War of the Gods or whatever.
like with Zeus and his father. Yeah, if you listen to them stories, the ancient stories, the battle of the Titans and all that, I mean, that was some really crazy stuff going on there. And then how did Zeus get his thunderbolt? The giants gave him that power, remember?
Yeah.
So maybe it was some type of technology they gave him that allowed him to be the king of the gods, or it could have been due to
Well,
the
go ahead.
right.
I've got opinions on all of it.
It's so fascinating, but Kronos, he ate all of his children because he was scared of them taking over. And
Yeah.
then Zeus, his mother, tricked Kronos and gave her a rock, and then he ate the rock, and Zeus was raised down here. So Zeus grew
Mhm.
up in a cave, and he went and freed his brother. He gave his father a potion that made him vomit up all of his brothers and sisters. And since they were gods and immortals, they were just kind of imprisoned in his stomach. And then they had that battle where he went down and freed the giants too. He had to go into Tartarus, Zeus did,
Yes.
and got them on his side. So like that whole story, when you really listen to that, something crazy's going on there, bro.
Do you want to know my interpretation of that?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Okay. So, go back. Can you go back and pull up that image of the triple eclipse deal that we were looking at, the
Oh yeah.
eye thing?
Yep.
So I want to
One
use
sec.
that as an example for explaining some of this.
This one.
Yes, perfect. All right, so let's look at this one on the left, the black and white one that you say that this is supposed to be Starlink's new logo, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to check that out. It's like I don't know if I mentioned it since we've been live, but that's the exact same symbol that's seen in Three Body Problem. Whenever
Yes.
they have the Great Conjunction. Dude, the Great Conjunction's in so many movies. You know what I'm talking about with the Dark Crystal? The
Yep.
the three heavenly bodies come together. That
Yes.
really is a great conjunction, and it's shown to us so many different ways, but this is the Three Body Problem version, I guess you could say. They all come together. And remember, before we jumped on, I was talking, you pointed out the one that the shape that looks like a crescent moon that's like
Yeah.
upside down, right? And I was
Yep.
talking about how it's this entire thing is the doom shape up in the sky, that it's a portion of the firmament that's distorted. It's different from the rest of the firmament. It's more of an inverted dome. This is the eye in the sky, and it becomes illuminated. Now, this is projecting, or let's suppose this projects light outwards. Instead of creating a focal point like a sun, it projects a light outward, and it creates what we call the moon, which is the luminary up in the sky. When this is seen again, which it will be, it's also interesting that they put the dot right there in the middle, because that's the symbol for the sun, and our sun doesn't have a dot in the middle. Like the ancient sun had these shapes in it, but it went through phases. This ancient sun, this ancient luminary at the center or apex of the firmament, it naturally would have gone through its own phases as the light that is emitted. Basically there's light passing through the firmament or whatever, but the light that reflects off of this goes through its own phases, because that light is swirling and it's cycling around in circles and moving according to its vortices. And that's the same thing that we see up there in the sky right now. We just have a different sky than they did back then. So all of the luminaries, they all travel in the same direction. All the satellites go in the same direction. All the stars and the sun and everything goes in the same direction, right? So this object goes through its own cycles, its own phases. One of those phases is the crescent, and it creates the bull's horns. And this is the bull of heaven. And it was described in many different ways, and it was seen as being evil. It was seen as being, some people worshipped it, but they were evil. Like, I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, they were involved in some dark.
They thought it was good. But anyway, so there was a battle between this entity up there in the heavens and one that is born of the earth, right? One that comes out of the earth, or one that is a demigod and partially comes from Gaia. So this is Kronos. When this opens up, like the what is that, CBS on the right or whatever? That eye. So that eye is not just an eye, it's also a mouth. It's a mouth with the rock in the middle, or the real moon or whatever. But that's an open mouth of Kronos right there. It's also an eye, but it's Kronos. So whenever the sky opens, it rips apart the sky god On, or Anu, or Kronos. They call this Kronos because of the other glyph, that the black and white one over there on the left. I don't know where I'm pointing right now, but anyways, that black and white one up there on the left, that's the horns. It's the horns. It's the horned god. And that's what Kronos means. It means strong horns, gigantic horns, massive horns. It's the Kronos, or the horned god, or whatever, right? So that's Kronos. When it opens up and the atmosphere depressurizes, he eats his offspring. He eats the children that are in the world. Everything that gets sucked up from the earth goes, well, much of it goes through the mouth of Kronos, including like rocks and stuff. So when the rocks start lifting up, and sand and dirt and all this other stuff, the depressurization only lasts for a certain time until it will reach equilibrium, and then those things will start floating back down, right? And so Kronos spits them back out or whatever. But Zeus comes from the earth. Zeus, this is my perspective on it, but Zeus was born in a cave, in Psychros cave. And so he was born of the earth. He was born of Gaia. And his thunderbolt would be the corresponding blue beam of energy that I talk about, that shoots up from Mount Meru, or Rupus Nigra, the plasma volcano. And it pierces that eye in the sky. It hits the target. It's the arrow that hits the bullseye. And that's the bull and the eye, the bull's eye. And that arrow pierces that, and it cuts it. And because it's an inverted dome, it's also seen, and interpreted as the genitalia or whatever of Kronos and stuff like that. But anyways,
Right.
it pierces this, and it's seen as being responsible for, like, that's the sign that the apocalypse is over. That's the sign that we're headed into a new rule or whatever, right? And so that's Zeus, and Zeus is also, that's the word Dios, which is like God in Spanish or whatever. The ancient Norse god Tu, or
Oh
Diu.
yeah, Ty.
Yeah, Tai, Tu.
But
Some people say Tyr, which is what Tuesday is named after.
Tuesday.
It's
Yep.
Dios Day, or the day of God, or the day of Dios, or Tu.
It's really hard to find a lot of information on Ty too, because I when I do them decodes, like somebody's born on a Monday, everybody's like, oh, Monday, Moon Day. But it goes even further back than that. It is Moon Day, but it goes back to the archons, and the 7 archons. They were so before Ty, before Thor, Thursday, Thor's Day, before Wednesday, Odin, Mercury. It goes back to these archons, bro. And I find that so fascinating. But what you were talking about with the ancient sun, and see how it has that dot in the middle? Ain't it kind of fascinating
Yeah.
that the black hole sun, dude, and the Masons have had this symbol forever, right?
Yes.
And now with the new solar simulators, ain't it kind of interesting that these solar simulators have a black sun? So, well, what I was thinking is, what is the whole solar sim? And this is playing devil's advocate, guys. But what is the whole solar simulator thing they made up because it's really the black hole sun?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Our sun, dude, I feel like our sun. Well, first and foremost, when I talk about the sun, for me, that's a focal point, and that light is not self-emanating. It's not creating itself. It's not just, burning gas like they teach in academics, but that it's a focal point that's coming from a heavenly light that meets in the center or the sun, and then redistributes down onto the land, causing daytime. If that's true, then that light is passing through the firmament or originating in the heavens. You know what I mean? So whatever the shape of the heavens are, this is why cosmology is so important to me, and understanding the shape of the world that we live in. Whatever the shape of the dome is, or the dome shape, or the doom shape, whatever that shape is going to be reciprocated in the anomalies we see in the sun and the moon.
Right. So what do you think? What's your opinion, anyways, on what this second moon is that they're telling us?
Garbage. That's off the top.
Do you think it has to do with the event and they're just trying to like normalize it now?
I think everything we're seeing has to do with the event. This is all signs and omens, and they're all interconnected, and these are all dominoes that are falling over quicker and quicker and quicker. But we're frogs in a pot. Nobody feels the heat increasing in the world today. The world's a dumpster fire, and everyone's saying it's fine. You know what I mean? This is predicted. In the Bible, they predicted people would be like this. They knew. How'd they know? Because it happened before. And they just recorded it. They said this happened before. So let me tell you what's going to happen in your time when this comes back around. No one's going to believe this. No one's going to think it happened. People are going to think that the world is, billions of years old, and it's always looked like this. It's always been this way. And there's, if there is any apocalyptic cycle or whatever, or cataclysms, the world across, that'll be billions of years from now. And interestingly enough, they blame the sun expanding and becoming a red giant. But I think the sun is going to also be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, brother, look at this stuff. Like, dude, this ain't normal. Yeah, we do have hurricanes and stuff, but they never have went inland as far as this one did.
No way. I've never seen one that deep in the United States.
No, it's so bizarre. And then that area that it hit, the Appalachians, these people from the Appalachians, shout out to them. I mean, they are so resilient. They're notorious for being like anti-government. These were the bootleggers back in the day. They live off the grid. They're very self-reliant, hardworking people, and they just that place just got leveled. So I mean, it is bizarre, what's going on, right now. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're saying they keep pounding that phrase into mainstream media, new normal. You should
new
do it.
normal.
I would be curious to see what that adds up to in Gematria. Because they
What new
keep,
normal?
yeah, I'd punch that in right now, dude.
Let me
Like,
check it out.
they say that so much. Oh, it's new normal. It's new normal. Dude, like when you keep having a new normal, these are anomalies. These are omens and signs that people should be waking up to, that there's significant changes that are happening in our world, because there's fluctuations that are happening energetically and they're manifesting physically in the physical world. And the stronger they get and the more they occur and the more crazier these new normals get, we're just getting closer and closer to midnight. You know what I mean? On the doomsday clock.
Wow. And new normal, what do you know, guys? Guess what it is?
What?
128.
No way.
Yes, it is, bro.
What? I
In
had a feeling.
Yeah, 128. So wow, that's interesting. That 128 code, man. Man, that's a big one too. That's crazy. New normal. And that's in the reverse ordinal cipher, the same one, White Lion. Remember the White Lion ship that was in Leave the World Behind that came out on 12/8? White Lion equals 128. And there was this whole like White Lion archetype. It was in the new series Those About to Die. They had this white lion with blue eyes in it. They keep showing us these white lions, and
Yeah, you're right.
they'll show us different animals and different symbols, and people don't even realize that it'll be part of a code, that the uninitiated have no idea. These people are actually speaking to each other through symbols and numbers and stuff like that. It's quite fascinating. Now, I did this video right here, brother. I want to. It's like a couple minutes long. I want to show you it. It's about Hurricane Helene, and then we'll conversate on it. It's just
Okay,
a bunch
yeah.
of clips
I was
from.
telling Tommy earlier, just for everybody, so they know, I don't know anything. I don't watch the news, so I haven't done my omens segment studying for this week yet. So I didn't even. I mean, I heard that there was a hurricane. You know, what I mean, everybody's talking about a hurricane. So I was like, Tommy, you gotta show me this and show me what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I was even late to the game with it, honestly, because I've just been trying to take a little step back. That's why I only do my shows a couple times a week now. When we're doing this kind of work all the time, Jay, after a while, man, it starts to get to you a little bit, like, man, that's why you got to just remember it's kind of a beautiful time to be alive. We get to see this happen. Nobody else, there's so many generations that passed away and never got to see this event. So I try to look at the brighter side of it and not always the doom and gloom, because it'll get to you after a
Yes.
minute, man.
Thanks
It's
for
just like,
saying that. I super appreciate it. I feel like a lot of us are being weighed down by the many revelations that are coming to pass in recent years.
me too, brother. I mean, I think a lot of us content creators feel that right now, and people just, don't talk about it. But before I show this clip, just to make sure, I always try to cover myself. This is called fair use and allowed for purposes of. Oops, let me take that off of there. Remove that from the stage. This is called fair use and allowed for purpose of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe copyright under 17 USC 107. So always do that. Now here we go. Add this.
Seen in this video are frequency transmissions from the NexRad network of transmitter installations. All available science evidence makes clear that atmospheric frequency transmissions can and do have a repelling effect on air masses, especially if and when the air masses have been seeded with electrically conductive nanoparticles. The brighter the blue flash from a frequency transmission installation, the more pronounced and powerful the repelling effect on any air mass or storm in the vicinity will be. Where there are no blue flashes, there is no transmission, thus no repelling effect, thus no resistance for a migrating storm. Translation: a migrating storm will be hindered from moving toward frequency transmissions and will easily migrate in a direction with no transmissions. So again, I ask, was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just an act of nature, or was it engineered? You decide.
Hey guys, Tommy Truthful here of truthmafia.com. So as we can see, Hurricane Helene was definitely engineered. And we're going to prove that to you by the end of this video. I believe they're using geoengineering as a form of population control. And I've been warning about this for some time as they're setting up their smart cities and their smart grid, with the fires trying to get us out of certain locations. In the original story, they reported 44 people dead. That was on September 27th. HARP equals 44 and kill equals 44. Now there's hundreds dead and over 600 people missing. And this video went viral on every platform. Well, I warned about this a day before it even happened. You can watch that on truthmafia.com. And in this video, whenever a video goes viral, I pay attention because they usually hide little codes. See that emblem on the wall? The dad was talking about, we got to go up in the attic. The water's getting too high. Well, that emblem on the wall is for the 1st Cavalry Division in the Army, guys. And 1st Cavalry Division equals 223 in English Ordinal. Well, guess what? HARP was patented on August 11th of 1987, the 223rd day of the year. Skull and Crossbones is 223. Global Currency Reset. Electromagnetic Pulse. They're saying... There's that electromagnetic pulse, Jay.
Yeah.
Tons of people are without power right now. And I think a major power outage event is coming. The Synagogue of Satan is also 223. You flip it around, that's 322, the number of skull and bones. And in 1958, we had Hurricane Helene, the exact same hurricane, on the same day. It started on the 21st, but it reached its peak September 27th. And if you count from the day it started till September 26th, when this one happened, it was 66 years and 6 days. And that's including the end date. So if you exclude the end date, you would get 66 years and 5 days, including the end date, 66 years and 6 days. Because I know there's some people out there that don't know how to count, which is 666. Well, in Latin Gematria, HARP hurricanes equal 666. And we know the elites take sacred numbers and invert them, attaching negative energy to them. Even though the number 666 is the breakdown of carbon, they're using it for negativity. And now they're saying we're gaining this second moon, right? That happened September 29th. Viral of strange anomalies up in the sky, guys. Why are they spraying all the chemtrails? Why is the weather so crazy right now? What is the government not telling us? That's what I want to know. Some people think it's a solar simulator, a moon simulator, and that's what's causing these unnatural disasters. Then there's other people that believe it's Nibiru, the destroyer of worlds. If you look at the coastline of Florida, it wiped it out. Look at this, guys. Kind of reminds you of Maui, right? High-frequency active auroral research program. Originally designed for research into the ionosphere. Now, Jay, this part right here, brother, I'm going to let it play. I actually made this with AI, Jay. That's not even me talking. It's AI talking as me. It's getting scary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, listen to it, bro. So the first part was all me, but this part right here, I made with AI. And listen to how much it sounds like me, though.
Okay.
HARP has long been suspected of having the ability to alter weather systems on a global scale. It's no coincidence that these catastrophic weather events often happen in key areas with large populations. When you look closely at the trajectory of the latest hurricane in Florida, many are pointing out how unnatural the patterns were. It's almost as if someone's hand was guiding the storm. So how does this all tie into population control? Well, think about it. Weather warfare has been theorized as a method to destabilize entire regions, destroy infrastructure, and force populations to move or perish. When you devastate cities with storms, flood homes, and destroy food supplies, people become dependent on the system to survive. The elite, those in power, gain even more control over us when we're in a state of constant crisis. Efforts could be part of a much larger agenda. Imagine being able to create disasters at will, hurricanes, droughts, earthquakes, floods, all tools of control. The more chaos they create, the more they can tighten their grip. They sell us solutions to the problems they've created. It's a cycle of destruction and control, all while keeping the masses unaware of what's really going on. Look at the most recent hurricane that hit Florida. While mainstream media simply chalks it up to climate change, a deeper look at weather patterns, satellite images, and HARP activity shows anomalies that just don't add up. People have been digging into this, and if you search the internet, you can find solid evidence and data that suggests manipulation. Weather tracking reports show inconsistencies, and some satellite images reveal strange formations in the clouds, almost as if they were being artificially steered. Now, I'm not saying every hurricane is engineered, but when you put all the pieces together, you start to see a disturbing pattern. Governments have the capability, and they certainly have the motive. It's not just about power, it's about control, population management, and keeping us in a constant state of fear and dependency. Stay awake, stay aware, and keep questioning everything. The truth is out there, but it's up to us to find it. If you're as passionate about uncovering the truth as I am, smash that like button, share this video, and watch until the end for more mind-blowing information. And don't forget to opt into our daily newsletter at truthmafia.com for updates on all the latest projects and insights we've got coming your way. Reporting for truthmafia.com, this is Tommy Truthful. Remember, reality is a code. I'm the glitch that reveals its secrets. It was pretty cool though. But you could tell like it's a little off, right? You can tell he talks a little faster than me, but it's getting close, bro. It's getting close.
Really close. It even takes breaths, kind of how you take your breaths, like the same pauses.
Yeah. It's getting scary. So you could tell the whole beginning part is mine, and then at the end, I wrote the script to it and I ran it through in video AI. That one I think I taught you about it. I don't know if I showed you that one yet.
Yeah.
I showed one, but in video AI is pretty cool. But it's cool because you can put like little clips like that together. But I'm always very transparent with my people. So I'll tell them like this part of the video I made with AI, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just always try to let them know, because so many people out here now just lying and their whole video is freaking AI and then they pretend it's real. But it's getting scary, dude, to where people can take the one thing I do like about in video AI, you have to say, hey, this is Tommy Truthful. I give NVIDIA AI permission to clone my voice. So I couldn't just steal your voice and go clone it. I like that because that's where it gets scary. You know, they even have things now, Jay, to where they could take a minute clip of me and you, our image, us podcasting, and they could recreate it, and it looks like us, sounds like us. Remember the one you had where you were speaking in a whole different language?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's crazy, and it even sounded like you, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, think about the implications of where it's going to go. So AI is I think many people right now associate AI with with being on the computer or being on your smartphone or whatever, but they're putting chips in people's brains, man. And that stack from altered carbon, that's going to be a reality pretty damn soon. And they're going to stick AI into that. And then they start replicating people's personalities and stuff, because machines can log away all of your memories, but that doesn't encapsulate, who we are or our mannerisms or how we talk or whatever. It's just the information, right? But AI can be trained to mimic who we are, how we act, and how we sound and whatnot. And so it leads to biomachinery. It leads to like in the movie AI, they called them there was what do they call them? There was like the real people were called organics, I think, and then like the AI was called like synths or something like that.
Yes.
And there's this sort of hatred and animosity, and that's like the new racism in the future is the people who are synthetic or have synthetic elements or completely synthetic in some cases, But you can't tell the difference between them and the real humans, with the exception that oftentimes the real humans look worse. They're they're
Yeah,
falling apart and stuff, you know.
and they
And they
had
can clone people on top of that. So they can clone people underground, clone you or me, just get our DNA, and then raise that clone, put the stack in it, put the AI and all that stuff, and then they just got a flesh and blood version of us walking around, you know?
that's scary, dude. And you know they already have that technology down there, bro. And in one of them movies, I'm trying to think of what movie it was, but all the normal, naturally born humans ended up going underground, Jay, and they were like eating out of the sewers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so they kind of got, they were like the ones that were racist against, you know, it was not good to be born naturally, like naturally human. Everything was synthetically made now and engineered, and I think we're really headed that way. I mean, you can kind of see where it's going, right?
Yeah.
But with all the have you ever heard the whole, well, I know you probably have, the whole Cabbage Patch Kids thing?
Yeah.
And that has
The
to do
pod
with
people.
the, yeah, ain't that
I'm calling
tied to
them
like the
pod people.
cyclical event after the world depopulation? They cloned a bunch of kids or something. There's a theory out there on that.
Yes, totally. So I have my own little, so I sort of touched on this a little bit in my newest book when I'm talking about these subsequent islands, not just Hyperborea and the Garden of Eden, that circular island at the Arctic, but it's surrounded by smaller other phantom islands as well. Um, Specifically, and the most notable ones are the anode and the cathode islands that have their own little plasma beams as well, but one's positive charge, one's negative charge, or that's what I speculate. Um, and I talk about the inhabitants of those people on those islands as well, and how the energy, the differential between the positive and the negative energy, and that such a strong influx of both, how it physically affects the inhabitants of these islands, right? So on one, let's say you have this positive earthly charge, right? That's very life-giving and whatnot, right? That would be more of the feminine energy. The island, if the physical follows after the energetic or the spiritual principles, then the people born on that island would most likely be all female on that particular side. There would be an island full of beautiful, healthy, tall females, which gives us legends of like Amazonian women and things of that nature, right?
Right.
There's many different legends of like islands of only mostly beautiful women, or even islands of men or whatever, on the other side of that. But on this island, it's said that they would get pregnant by wading into waters that had power, like powerful waters, basically, or by the wind itself. This is energy, so much energy, right? Like I was talking about how our bodies go through cellular regeneration whenever the atmosphere is electrically charged. Well, if it's amplified to such an extreme degree that whenever women become of childbearing age, that they just naturally start to procreate. They become virgin births, or there's virgin births, actual real virgin births. They don't need a man to get pregnant because they're impregnated by the quote unquote breath of God or the spirit of God, or to this terrestrial energy or whatever, in particular locations that I call places of power. And if that's the case, and they have no male counterpart that has gone into them in order to create life, that's more, they're likely to give birth to clones of themselves, and they'll just keep on having clones.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because it'll only be one person's DNA. There will be no mix at all. It'll just be a replica of the exact same person, basically. And
That's kind of like,
oftentimes twins too, or triplets.
man, that's kind of like what the whole eugenics thing was all about, you know? And they, man, they were like into World War II. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to get us in trouble, but you know, the guy with the little weird mustache over there,
Yeah, a mustache.
that dude that was in World War II. That's like what they were all about in the twins. Remember they were doing all them experiments on twins, bro?
Yeah.
I wonder if there was something with all that connected to you know, these type of events, like if that's where they learn to start doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And then also there's a connection to the islands, you know, that I've been referring to at the top of the world. Whenever in your video you're talking about the 666 and how they invert a lot of these holy figures, numbers, symbols, or whatever, they invert them and
Yep.
they reclaim them. That's classic positive versus negative, or good versus evil. They're reciprocals of one another, or they're inversions of one another, basically. So if the inverse of 666 is 999, and 9 wasn't always just a number. It was a picture a long time ago. And for example, if you take the Phoenician, right? If you go back and you count 9 letters out in the Phoenician, that gives
Right.
us the Tet. And this is the Tet, which is the circular shape of that island that's cross-sectioned by 4 rivers. It's a circle with an X right in the middle of it. And that's called Tet. And it's the root word for many of our ancient words that we have, like Lake Titicaca. They say Titicaca, but that's not how it's originally pronounced. It's Tet, and then Kaka, which is more of a guttural. So it's the Tetkaka, which is and Kaka or Kaka or Het is pronounced in different ways. That's the ancient number 8, which is where we get the sound 8. It's more het or hate. It's a hate sound, actually. It's more of a guttural. It's a het. And it's the number 8. So kaka is, or chicken, or any of these words that start with ch, you know what I mean, over and over again. That's 88. That's 8 and 8. And then the tet is the 9.
Wow.
The tet's the 9. So like, for example, I was just watching in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides Part 3 last night. And they all had these pirate lords gathering at this shipwreck cove or whatever. It's like super symbolic of Mount Meru. And they all had these 9 pieces of 8. You know what I mean? Like it's all in there. The 9 are the special people. Like
That's interesting you say that, because like the Chaldean gematria that I'm always using, it goes back to the Akkadians, brother, and it's based on 1 through 8. And the Akkadians wouldn't use the number 9 because it was divine to them.
Yeah, that's the breadbasket of the world. That's what it's seen as in the ancient Hebrew or the Paleo Hebrew script, is the picture. They say that circle with like the X in the middle, that it represented a basket with a snake wrapped around it, or a snake in a basket sometimes. But what that really is the Ouroboros, or the energy, or the circuit that swirls around that island, because that island is magnetic. You know what I mean? Like that's why in Pirates of the Caribbean they all meet up at Shipwreck Cove, and it's all shipwreck symbolism, because these lodestone mountains, these plasma volcanoes, magnetized because of all that energy coming out for an entire age. It magnetizes all of the minerals, and especially like magnetite is one of the main ones. But it magnetizes it, and all of our compasses point towards the strongest one right now. And ships, when they got near, if they had iron nails in the masts or anything, like the ship would be pulled, and it would increase in speed, and it would get faster and faster and faster, and it would slam into and wreck onto these islands. And then the people that survived, if there were survivors, they would be castaways. They'd be stranded on this island, the magic island, with weird creatures and tribes and monsters and all kinds of stuff. And then they would go throughout all of these abandoned shipwrecked, ships or whatever, and they would salvage, and they would take all the parts, and they would recreate boats, but without the metal this time. And this is another reason why like weapons are not allowed in paradise, and no metal, and you have to take off your metal and all that stuff before you go into like a holy place, just like they show on the Rings of Power. Like before the elves go into that, that wall that opened up in the sky and it was all light.
Yes.
They had to take off all that armor and all that metal and stuff. That's because they would get shipwrecked. They'd get pulled, you know what I mean? Like they'd get pulled towards the magnetic mountain.
They're represented by the 8 too, bro. In Rings of Power, the Elven race is the 8-pointed star. That they worship it. It's on their wall. It's on their armor. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you get into that, ties into the plasma apocalypse too. Look at Captain Marvel, bro. she has the 8-pointed star in her suit, right? How does she get her powers? Through plasma. Remember, she got hit with that plasma, and it
I actually have not seen that one yet.
oh god, you got to watch Captain Marvel because she's like the most.
I looked up the
powerful.
scene where the ocean was getting sucked up for research purposes, but I haven't actually seen the movie yet.
Bro, you got to watch the first one because, okay, so it's like this advanced spaceship, but it's plasma driven, and the plasma engine blows up, and it just radiates her, and she's like, she looks like the Phoenix, bro. She glows
Right.
like, you know, Dark Phoenix does in X-Men.
Yeah.
And she just glows with that purplish blue plasma, and then that's how she becomes Captain Marvel. Which she's like the strongest superhero out of any of them. You know, she could beat Superman. People don't even realize that. Captain Marvel's on some whole other shit. She's like unbeatable.
Yeah. So even in her name, though, Marvel is Maru L, because the V used to actually it's a U. If you go back into Latin and stuff, like any U used to be a V back then. So U and V are the exact same letter. They're just different forced pronunciations of the same exact letter or glyph. So it's Maru El. So it's the gods or god of Maru. And the god of Maru would be the most powerful energy, which is the plasma that comes up out of it. You know what I mean?
That's fascinating. And so I want to show you something real quick. I might have showed you this before, but here, let me show you. So like with that 8-pointed star, bro, I started connecting it to all the superheroes with powers and abilities. I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. And let me show you. So first of all, we see CERN has the 8 bars going around, the 8 original creator deities, the Ogdode. You know, there was these 8 creator deities. This goes back to Egyptian guys, and that's where we get the egg symbolism. But they had heads of frogs and heads of serpents, these 8 creator deities. And then Inanna's name in cuneiform is the 8. So all the superheroes, Captain Marvel, here's her getting radiated as she's getting her power right there. She literally looks like the Phoenix, and that's where she like explodes everyone. Wonder Woman, she has the 8-pointed star in her forehead.
Yeah, look at that.
It's crazy, bro. It rings of power. See, she has it there. It's on the wall. And then even with Superman, what's his name, bro? He's L, like you were just talking about.
Yeah.
And in Superman, 45 minutes into Man of Steel, at exactly 45 minutes in, he's in that ship. And he's learning. It's his father. It's his. Remember, it was like a program of his dad. So it was kind of his dad's consciousness telling him where he's from. He's from the House of Hell.
Right.
In that scene, at exactly 45 minutes and 41 seconds, they show the 8-pointed star. And just for a brief second, you see it. Which Man of Steel is 45. Fallen Angels. I think the Anunnaki, the Watchers, what we call the Fallen Ones, they're tied to this star, which when I traced it back, I seen it tied to the Chaos Star, bro. It's in so many different movies that it'd blow your mind. Cat Williams had it on in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, season 1, episode 9. They were getting ready to go to Inner Earth, bro. At exactly 1 minute and 2 seconds in, which is the reflection of 201, and they show it on the wall right before they go through a portal. So it's tied to all this. Yeah, it's tied to all this portal symbolism.
Yes.
And real quick, you see how that was 102? 201, what I've noticed about 201, brother, let me load this up for you, and then I'll go right back to that because it plays a role with all this. So 201's a big number, right? We had Event 201, which was, you know, simulation of the Code Red situation while we were on lockdown. Well, when you look into that number, guys, it's black hole sun. That's the code of the black hole sun. So that whole simulation, I don't think it's what they're telling us about. They wanted to see how we would react, you know, during a martial law event. Like when we got told to stay in the house, they wanted to see how people would react because of this event. I truly believe that. House Targaryen's 201 too, brother. And that all gets into, when you really look into House Targaryen with their blonde hair, it gets into that Nephilim dragon bloodline. And I think they all come from what we know as Dimension X or Nibiru, whatever. And up here, my little guy's kind of blocking it out, but it's the black hole sun in between the two pillars of Freemasonry. There's so much connections in Game of Thrones. If you really pay attention to the symbolism in it, the dragon comes down at the last episode of Game of Thrones when she's burning up the whole city, and Jon Snow's like, man, I got to take her out. She's not who I thought she was. Well, that dragon, you see it descends from the sun and then burns the city. And even in House of the Dragon, you'll see these scenes where the dragons come down, like it looks like it's the sun, and then it turns into the dragon and burns up the city. So symbolically, they're showing you it's something to do with the sun. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's a crazy connection to that 8-pointed star, brother. I went down just a crazy rabbit hole with it. Like it's on The Simpsons. It's on their wall, bro. I found all this 137 connection with it. I think you told me to watch Willy Wonka, but I found the 8-pointed star in there.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie too, bro. Love and Monsters. It's a total plasma apocalyptic end of the days movie, bro. You would love it. Did you ever see it?
Yeah. I think I broke it down, actually.
I would love to do that one with you. It's so good.
I love talking about all the phantazoids and monsters and gigantism and stuff.
It's a girth of 616. Remember, that's what causes the end of the world in it.
Oh yeah, that's interesting too. That reminds me of
Planet X Destroyer. Love and Monsters.
Remember that movie where they could predict? They had time. What was it called? Or they could predict crimes, future crimes, or whatever.
Oh yeah, Minority
Tom Cruise. Yeah, so that's the chick's name. There's 3 prophets, and the mean one, her name was Agatha.
Wow.
Remember?
Yeah, it was. That's interesting. There's something up with that. And then 616, if you look into the oldest version, excuse me, in the oldest version, guys, of Revelations, Papyrus 115, that's the number they say is the number of the beast, 616, not 666, right? So there's this whole crazy connection to that. And then ritual sacrifices 616 too. But I thought that 64 connection, which is Love and Monster, first player character 64 too. Planet X Destroyer 64. And then like when we talk about the people getting powers, I always tell people you might have a negative side of a number, but then there's also a positive side of the number too. Like the number 128 has a lot of negativity on it, but telekinesis is 128, Neocode's 128, Tartaria's 128, God's plan. So there's this whole positive side of that number. And then when you look at the negative side of it, that's where you got Smart City, Blood Offering, Bridge Collapse, Divide and Rule, Open the Pit, the first quantum computer, 128 qubits, CERN 128, the Mandela effect, the deep state. You know what I mean? So there's always negative and positive with it. But when I was looking into like the first player character code, matter of fact, there's 3-body problem in this one. And that gets into simulated reality and dream weapons. When you can create a weapon in your dream, in the dream realm, because when you really start to wake up, it seems like entities, that's where they try to come after you, bro, in the dreamscape, or what do you call the astral plane, right?
Yeah.
At least that's from my experience. I've been attacked many times in that dream world. And dream walking. Have you ever heard of dream walking?
Yeah.
So that's super fascinating to me. I've been really looking into that a lot, and that ties into the Matrix, dream power, altered carbon, and in what's that movie? Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're doing. Remember, they got put under hypnosis and they created their dream weapons, and they were able to battle Freddy, the dream demon.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
And then Freddy went invisible at the end, and that dude, karate guy, tried to fight him.
there was a karate guy, the black dude, he was super strong. I thought the girl was the karate person. Wasn't the girl the ninja? One girl had
I know one dude was like a karate or something like that, and then like Freddy
the
was invisible
magician.
and he knocked the glove off of him, and then the glove floated up and stabbed him.
Oh yeah, yep, you're right. Then there was the little magician dude. He did magic to Freddy, remember?
Yeah.
He was trying to get Freddy with magic. But yeah, like that 64 code where I showed you guys Planet X guys, and Planet X ties into you getting the Phoenix power, which I think people getting abilities. So it's all coded because we're in some type of simulation, which 64 is the first player character code, right? Pineal gland open is 64, which is the awakened avatar. And then pineal gland sleep is 63, matching non-player character, which all ties into Saturn. In 64 gets into Jupiter and Zeus. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating with people getting abilities. It all ties back to that, like that new series Supercell, bro. Did you see that one yet?
I have not got to see that one yet.
The same dude, they get some plasma powers in it, bro. They all just start getting freaking abilities. And they got one guy's really fast, another guy he can like teleport. The other dude, what's the other guy's power? There's a bunch of different powers. It's pretty good. It was trending on Netflix, but yeah, I think there's something to it all with the 8-pointed star getting into Nibiru portals,
Yeah.
Dimension X, and people getting abilities. You know what I mean? At
Yeah,
least
I totally agree.
At least from my research, that's what the numbers definitely say.
I also see the connection between the 8-pointed star and, like you said, the portals and stuff too. Because
Too, bro. So much.
I mean, it's possible that 4 of those, what they call the points or whatever. I mean, it's also like the compass too, right? So it's like the nautical compass or whatever. That's how people know where they are on the world. Is, I mean, today they would say, "Oh, look to the North Star." Like, dude, no one knows where the North Star is. Like, you got to learn that. Like, but there was an ancient North Star, which was Saturn and Kronos and all these other names. And it was gigantic. You can't miss it. You know what I mean? Like, you knew where you were just by looking for the central point, the apex of the firmament that was lit up during that time. And you know, they documented the transitions of time by the cycles that light went through. And I believe that they called this, I think this is the origin of what they called shars, which is like, you know,
Yep.
we interpret that to be like thousands and thousands of years or whatever, but I think it was different. But it was just the cycles that light was going through, or the central light. And that light, if it is the depressurization point also, or acts as the depressurization point in Kronos's mouth and all of that other stuff, then that's the star gate, and that's the 8-pointed star. And that's why,
Yeah.
you know, all the transitional symbolism and superheroes of Marvel or Maru or whatever, and the meeting place of Olympus directly underneath it, on the mountain of the moon or the moon mountain, or, you know, whatnot. But that's the Stargate. You know what I
I'm
mean?
going to show you exactly what you're talking about right now. I actually did a diaphragm of it in this video I did. Hold on, I don't want to show the whole video. I just want to skim through what he's talking about right now. I actually thought of you when I did this video. Where is the Stargate? I also showed a bunch of fake Stargates that were going around. People were trying to say were real, and I found the original images of them, and they were fake as hell. But, you know, we have that problem with these people, unfortunately, putting out fake stuff. Okay, this is where I was starting to talk about the Stargates. I want to show you that picture. Oh, man, where is it? Right here. Boom. 8-pointed star, Saturn in the cosmic mountain, the Stargate portal, St. Peter's Square. So could you break down Saturn in the cosmic mountain? Because I know you talked about that before, and that has to do with the plasma event, right? Jay? Did I
Yeah,
lose
my
him?
bad. I was muted.
Oh, sorry.
What we're looking at, like, so let's start with the image on the far left over here. I like that one the most out of all of them. This is the keyhole, right? This is the keyhole to our world. And there's the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and the gatekeeper is above. The gate of the gods, the gate of heaven is above. It's at the firmament, and the firmament will open up as it does from time to time. The world depressurizes or whatever. And right now we don't have the keymaster. The keymaster is missing. The keymaster is gone. The keymaster is the one that holds the key, and this is the key. Okay, all the key symbolism. What you're looking at, you have to use your imagination a little bit, but you have the highest, tallest mountain in the world, which is a lofty, tall, huge cliff all the way around, just like Devil's Tower. Imagine if the Devil's Tower was a volcano and it just went straight up and it was hollow on the inside. That's Mount Meru. Okay. And out of it, that mountain is created by the beam of energy that erupts out of the earth, which is ionized gas. And all of those all that massive amount of ionized gas that's discharged from within the earth that has been building up for this entire age will be released. And it's rushing up through the earth. And, the static electricity ionizes it and it becomes plasma. And it bursts up out of the top of this huge, tall mountain, which now exists. But that mountain originally did not exist. Originally, it was just mud all over the place from the shaking of the world. And then the mud was attracted to this place where the energy was being discharged because it's electromagnetic. And the earth was pulled towards it. Just like when you rub a balloon on your head and you pull it away, the hair will rise up and meet it, right? Same thing with the earth. The earth was pulled towards it. Whenever it gets really close, it petrifies it and it changes density and it changes its bonds and stuff. And then it just keeps building and building and building and builds this column, right? Now the ancient people, when they saw the beam of energy coming out of that column, they sometimes imagined that the mountain itself, there was no separation between the trunk of the tree of life and the actual branches of the tree of life. So the trunk would be the mountain, and then the beam of energy that rises up to appear like it's touching the dome or the heavens, that would be the branches of the tree of life. It's also the wings of the phoenix and various cosmic birds and other things too, the double-headed axe and all this stuff. So what we're looking at,
or does that kind of look like that eye in the sky thing we were looking at a little bit?
That's exactly what it is. Remember how I was saying it goes through its own phases, right? So right now we're seeing a particular phase where the light is on one side of it. This is the original. So the circular shape. Right now I'm talking about the actual 8-pointed star and the circular shape around it, which includes the crescent at the bottom.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That beam underneath it, that's terrestrial. That's earthly energy. Okay, but behind that, up there in the heavens, imagine we are at the North Pole, staring directly up at the true North Star, or the real star, the dark star, the black hole sun, all that stuff. So we look straight up at it, and it's going through one of its phases, one of its cycles, which gives us the horns of the great horns of Kronos, or the bull of heaven, as it's seen, and described in ancient times. And then in the center, you have the next circle. So you have two main circles: the outer circle, which is the main portion of the inverted dome that's facing us, and then the depressurization point. And that will actually fill up and it'll create another little dome inside of it. That's besides the point, and that can get pretty complicated to think about, domes inside of domes and stuff. But just imagine that's a hole in the sky at the middle right there. There is heavenly light on the other side in the form of plasma, electromagnetics, which is what the dome is. The dome is a superconductor, and there's crazy amounts of electricity running throughout it. And whenever the physical portion of the dome bursts open, it creates this gateway, or this stargate up there in the heavens, and all that light comes out and it shines outwards. And we see that in the form of this 8-pointed star that's right there in the middle. So that's what we're looking at on the left. On the right are in the middle, the image number 2, this is symbolic representation. This is the truth in the movies. This is the keyhole. They have to go through the keyhole, just like Alice in Alice in Wonderland. She had to go through the keyhole to get to Wonderland. She didn't just have to go down the rabbit hole. She had to actually go through a keyhole, right?
Yep.
With that doorknob or whatever. And he opened up his mouth. That was the keyhole. So they go through this keyhole. And in Stargate, when they go through the keyhole, first and foremost, that's the water. They're walking through water. That's the waters above. They put it in the movie like it's forwards, like they're going forward, because it works for the movie. But in reality, this is them ascending up into the heavens, right? Mount Meru would be the staircase, which is represented by the 33 steps in Freemasonry, because Mount Meru is 33 miles around.
Wow. Even the Warcraft, bro, when they go through the Stargate, it's through water, remember?
Yes, you're right. All those orcs or whatever they were.
Yeah, man. It's through water, bro. And then they come up, like you said.
That's the heavenly water. That's the great mirror above us. That's the reflective surface that is above us. That's the mirror that Atreyu goes through when he has to go through his second greatest trial or whatever in order to get to the Southern Oracle. That's the mirror that Alice goes through the looking glass or whatever to get to other worlds. And in Stargate, when they go through that water and they go through that Stargate, they go to a land that has no, it's like a desert world, which is Mars, essentially, symbolically speaking. That's Mars. That's the red planet. That's our world to come. That's the world that once was. We were a red planet. We were a red plane of existence because of all that oxygen from that beam that shoots up. It oxidizes everything and it causes rust, basically. Just, in short, everything's very rusty. It's very post-apocalyptic looking. And all of the waters on this world have been sucked up and out for the most part. So the oceans are gone. Or as it says in Revelation, I beheld and the seas were no more. So when they go through that, it's symbolically them transitioning or surviving the apocalypse because they're at Mount Meru, they're at the eye of the storm, and they're transitioning. They're not actually going to like another planet on the other side of the solar system or whatever. Not that that's impossible. I'm just saying that this is symbolic for a transition, a change. When worlds collide, when our world becomes a different world, when it looks like there's another world above us, which is that inverted dome, which is usually red in color. And it looks like Nibiru is going to crash into us, or Venus is, too close or whatever. Just like Velikovsky was talking about, he wrote Worlds in Collision, and he was, putting forth the theory that in the ancient world, they thought that Venus was too close to the Earth. And it gave off all of these trails and stuff and plasma, which is just plasma seeping out of that inverted dome up in the sky, and that it messed with the gravitational pull of Earth, because he was looking at it through a modern academic lens as far as cosmology goes. But in reality, we're going through an electromagnetic shift where the light is no longer coming down at us, creating this focal point that we call the sun, but the light is emanating up from the Earth and illuminating the heavens, illuminating the firmament itself. You know what I mean? And we can see the eye in the sky because it's the flashlight's pointed in the other direction now. We can see that. So they go through that in Stargate. They go to the desert world, the post-apocalyptic world, the red sky world, etc. And that's the time of ancient Egypt and obelisks, because you live in an electrified atmosphere that's electrically amplified. So you need lightning rods, gigantic ones, to prevent the thunderbolts of the gods from striking your city. So you erect huge obelisks to prevent lightning strikes, or to redirect them, away from where people live, if they are going to hit them. And then that's where you have this over here on the right, which is St. Peter's Square, where the basilica is, right, and stuff.
Like the obelisk they had back in the Tartarian times, and even before that.
Yeah, same exact thing. And in the middle of St. Peter's Square, you can't see it because there's that 8-pointed, white star right there, but there's an obelisk right there.
Yep, it's right in the middle. They say it's Nimrod's phallus or whatever.
No,
but yeah. There's many different theories of what it is, but like that picture you showed me, bro, in Colorado, you have them 2 obelisks right there, and it looks like some freaking Stargate thing in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's right here in Colorado Springs. That's actually in the background. You see that white mountain top? That's Pikes Peak. And then to the left, far to the left, is NORAD. So NORAD's sort of behind the left pillar right there. And then this is 101. This is
on
I mean,
a direct ley line if that's Pikes Peak right
yeah,
there.
yeah, it is.
Wow. That's crazy, bro. Imagine the energy there. You been there, Jay?
Yeah, I've been there once or twice.
And them are made out of what are the obulus? Is that some type of metal?
I'm not sure. I mean, they sure look like metal to me.
Does to me so.
You could also see a huge radio tower in the background too, back there, whatever that is.
Yep, I see.
But
Way
this
back.
is what we're looking at symbolically. Aside from just like, what is an obelisk? What's its purpose? What's its use or whatever? What is that circle in the middle? Symbolically, this would be, according to my plasma apocalypse research, this is 101, which is anode and cathode being the ones, and then the opening either above in the heavens or on the earth below being the circle, right? Mount Meru or the heavenly opening. This is the place of creation. This is the beginning. This is the place where it all started, which is 101, which is why they use that in colleges and stuff to name the first classes that you take or whatever. And that's also like where Neo, I think his room was 101 in the movie.
Oh, Neo's room? Yeah, I have to check that out. 101's in Ready Player One. Remember? All them characters that are controlled by like that giant company that are trying to win that prize, all number 101. Yep.
Yeah, they try to say, oh no, it's IOI and it represents. No, that's 101.
No, it's 101. And it's the 11 in numerology. 11 represents portals, right? It's like opens a portal to your subconscious as far as numbers goes.
Those are the pillars of Hercules as well. So that one pillar and then another pillar, you go between them, you're going into the portal, into the unknown world, into a completely different place. Basically, you're headed towards the Phantom Island or Paradise or Hyperborea or Eden or whatnot. And that's the westernmost part of the world where Osiris was from. Osiris was the foremost of the Westerners.
Phantom Island. So this kind of reminds me of that one island that they say shows up every 7 years, something Brazil. You ever hear of this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, hold on a second. I'll think of it. It's something Brazil. It's like kind of by Ireland. Hold on, let me look it up. Somebody in the comments I know will say it. But so the story about it, Jay, is that it shows up like every 7 years, bro. And when you look into it, they say the first story of vampires ever came from a chieftain from that island. Let me look it up. I think it might be New Brazil.
Okay. I've heard something similar on the Urbano Monte map. There's a huge island in the Pacific that might be something. It could be ancient Lemuria, but the island was named
High Brazil, brother.
Yeah, that does sound familiar, actually, now that you say it like that.
Yeah, High Brazil was the name of it. Let me see if I can share my screen here because I got some other stuff I want to show you too. So High Brazil, yeah, here it is. It's supposed to have showed up like every 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. I love learning stuff like this, like all that weird stuff that no one really knows about.
Yes.
It's High Brazil is the mystical island that appears on many medieval maps from the 14th century onward. But now, you can't find it no more. They tell us, it doesn't exist. But it was on so many of the ancient maps. It seemed like it did exist.
Hey, there's a land, like the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Well, the land where Zelda lives is called Hyrule, and it's spelled HY, just like that.
For
Brazil,
real?
mythical land, also known as High Brazil. I'm checking it out right now.
Ain't this interesting? It's a west of Ireland, Irish myths. Yeah, like when you really get into it, bro, I went down a rabbit hole on it. And there's like this chieftain that lived there. And people think all the vampire stuff comes from Romania and all that. But the actual first vampire stories were supposed to be from here. Like some chieftain guy that start drinking people's blood, and he's supposed to be from here. And I guess this island shows up every 7 years, so they say. That's the story with it anyways. But yeah, it's super fascinating this type of stuff. And then some other things got. Oh, yeah. Don't let me forget to show you this, bro, because we're always talking about the Golden Gate Bridge, guys. And did you guys see this? This something was in the sky over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Wow, is that playing backwards or is that playing forwards?
It looks like it's going backwards, right?
It sure does.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. That's how they have the video, though. Yeah, so I don't know what it is, but some anomaly in the sky right over the Golden Gate Bridge. And then when you look into the Golden Gates, guys, it represents the galactic center. And the galactic center of the Milky Way is supposed to be a portal, like connecting heaven to earth, right? And then you got the Golden Gates over in Jerusalem. So it's very symbolic. And that's why I believe some type of event will take place there. You know, how many movies have they showed us where that bridge goes bye-bye?
God, so many.
Dude, there's so many. It's unreal. And I guess now, Jay, people are running out. At least this is what they're telling us. They might be, they lie a lot. So U.S. shoppers start to stock up on essentials as port strikes pressure prices to go higher. Oh, yeah, I did see something about that. My boy, Neftali, he did a video. If you guys, I haven't got to see it yet, guys, so I don't know. But over here on truthmafia.com, Jay has a channel over here. Like I put his new video. Well, actually, my AI just pulls all the videos and puts it up. Cost me like $2 a video. But Jay's new one's over here where he hit 100,000. I seen that. Congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
You know, you work really hard to get there, and I'm super proud of you, everything you achieved. But Neftali right here, yeah, he did one. Port Strike 2024, the conspiracy to cripple the economy. He's got some pretty interesting stuff. He's got like 150,000 followers or so on YouTube. And then Sling and Stone did one today, which I found fascinating because I just did one the day before on the Tomb of Gilgamesh. And then Sling and Stone does one the very next day. And me and him ain't talked in forever. So it was all organic. And his video that he did on God's 10 plagues is what inspired me to even write a blog on Gilgamesh and look into it. And bro, this is from the Freedom of Information Act's website. Then look what they said. Their correspondence requesting documents pertaining to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body, and the location of the buried Nephilim. You can go on the government website, guys, Freedom of Information Act, and pull that up. And here's the video I did on it. The crazy thumbnail, Nephilim coming through a CERN portal about to eat the human. You know, I'm always making weird ones. But here's the link to the original. Well, it's supposed to take you to that. Hold on. Oh, it took you there. Wait a second. Let me do this. This was the original article, God's 10 Plagues, where I got the link to it. So Sling and Stone did that back August 30th of 2023. I watched this video of his. It inspired me to write this blog down here where I broke down Gilgamesh, how it gets in. Gilgamesh and Osiris have matching numerology too, bro. So in Gilgamesh, they were trying to get his resurrection technology. Well, yeah. Osiris is the god of resurrection. So there might be some connection there too. And then Jesus Christ too with the whole resurrection thing. But right here is what you would look up, guys, on FOIA's Department of State FOIA log 2018.
You're breaking up, bro.
Can you hear me?
I can now. You were breaking up while you were giving out the address.
Oh yeah, I bet I was. But yeah, it's on here. I'll show the people real quick. Freedom of Information Act, because this is real, guys. Like I couldn't even believe it. Let me show you. Like they really found this freaking, and they say that's why we invaded Iraq, Jay, because they had some Stargate technology. Them were the real weapons of mass destruction. What do you think about that, brother?
I think that they believed that genuinely, but I think that they are in the wrong place. I think they were digging in the wrong spot, just exactly like in Indiana Jones, how they were looking for what was it, the I forgot, man, I can't remember the movie, but like in one of the older Indiana Jones ones, like they were digging in Egypt somewhere to try to find this temple. Oh man, I can't remember the name of it. And remember how he had that staff and it had like that winged thing on, and he had to hold it in the sunlight, and it made a beam on the map on the ground.
Right.
Well, he said they're digging in the wrong place. Like that's exactly what I think was happening. I think that I mean, don't get me wrong, they have libraries and, ancient information and stuff in various places, especially those places. But I think as far as those weapons of power, I think they're in the wrong spot.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think they got it wrong.
So what do you think they were talking about in these correspondence and these emails and stuff? I'm about to show you where I got to figure out. Oh, wait, maybe it's right here. Okay.
Yeah, because they believe that, or it seems like they believe that that Jerusalem is in the Middle East in the desert, and that is like the Holy Land and whatnot, and that's why the United States protects it and all that stuff. I am not convinced. I'm not convinced that the Tigris out there is the real one, the Euphrates is the real one, or the original one.
Oh, okay. I
I'm
get
not
what you're
convinced
saying.
it's the original, any of that. Oh, I got a donation in the chat from Charlie. Thank you, Charlie.
Shout out to Charlie. So yeah, because some
Oh,
people
yeah.
think of America is really like, it's vice versa. So some people think Egypt was really in America. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Okay, so I can
Wow.
I can explain my theory on all of that. So for me, the circular land that's on medieval maps of the Arctic, right?
Hey,
Just
there
like
it is.
same maps will show the Antarctic, but there's no ice, right? Those same exact similar types of maps show land at the North Pole, circular in nature, and there was the original inhabitants of that land were expelled. They had their own exodus. They had to leave, and when they left, they they became wandering merchants. They became the nomad, or the Nemo, basically is exactly what that means, the leftovers, or of the leftovers. And they moved about nomadically around the Arctic, moving more south and more south as they went. Some tribes, finding places to live, settling down, but others had to keep on going. This became, they would be called by many different names. They would name themselves different things as they went, as time went along. But these are the quintessential tribes from the north that came down to the south and, taught survivors down there agriculture and astrology and all these different things that came down from the mountains or the high places, because at that time the world had flooded. And they learned to sail and stuff. So these were also Phoenicians. These were the Tartarians. These are different tribes that became lost. They integrated themselves with the survivors who stayed in the Southlands, which is where we live now. And they mixed into those, or they, what do they call it in the Bible? They grafted in. They grafted themselves into those tribes, and they became lost. They lost their nature or whatever. So as they became nomadic, and as they settled from place to place, and as they used their wisdom to gain positions of power within all of these pre-existing cultures, and they established kingdoms and kingships and presidencies and all these types of things, they slowly started to take over, especially as they invented banking and stuff. They didn't have their own land to produce crops in order to trade things that were of substance, like animals and things like that. I mean, they had some animals they would take with them to move about in caravans, but they didn't have any land to settle on in order to produce goods that they could claim as their own. So they became known as the traders, or the merchants, or the mercs, and their god was Mercury. And anyways, my point is they renamed places after these original place names. So Israel, for example, would be one tribe that came down and settled in that particular region and, you know, mingled with the locals in that area. And they renamed that land Israel. And they renamed those rivers Tigris, Euphrates. And the same thing happened in the United States, which is reflected in the Book of Mormon and things like that with Nephi and all of that. And ancient Native American accounts and stuff too. They would settle down as well. If you look at these old maps, Tartaria is not just in Siberia. You know, Tartaria extends into Canada and all these other places too. It says it on these maps. So they would circle around and they would rename the original lands like Ethiopia and Ind or India or Babylon or Egypt. And none of those places are the original ones. The original lands and the original city states as they originally were located at the North Pole in these quadrants that were their own little countries, island countries, basically. And then they renamed these places as they slowly started to take over the rest of the world, procreating and having children and really holding to their bloodlines and stuff. I'm getting pretty deep. Sorry.
No, I'm listening, brother. It's fascinating because look right here. And then look, when you try to search that lady's name, the first thing that comes up, guys, look, they try to discredit this. Watch. Look, see, fact check. And let me tell you, I'll show you right now. Fact check admitted in open court that they're not a fact. It's an opinion. So look, it says hoax alert, right? But here, look at this. This is on the government's website, Freedom of Information at state government. Here's the freaking thing right there. Resurrection document pertaining to resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body buried Nephilim. So then let's see what they say with the hoax, because sometimes they'll just be like, oh, well, the email's real, but the video is what's not. So let's see what it says. Where a treasure from Tomb of Gilgamesh discovered just before the Iraq War, U.S. military or Hillary Clinton cover-up. No, that's not true. The video is footage of one of several fake mummy hoaxes that have occurred over the years. In April of 2003, there was news about German teams, archaeologists' finds associated with ancient city of Uruk in Iraq. That discovery did not include a tomb full of golden treasures or a king mummy. George Fishbanger or Professor. Okay, so they're not saying, they're just saying the video that goes around that video is not what they found in that tomb. Now, a BBC News article reported Gilgamesh tomb believed to be found on April 29, 2003, over 20 years later, or May 16, 2023. Clips from much circulated video were republished on TikTok. So you see how deceptive they are, though? They're not saying that this ain't real, but they're saying that the video, that entity in the video ain't real. And they're probably the ones that put it out. So people, us truth seekers, would use it, and then they can come and do this. But let me show you a little something. Hold on a sec. Oh, what's going on with my computer here? Oh. Fact check admits in open court. Fact check admits in open court that it's an opinion. Oh, it's just freaking out on me. Damn it. What the hell is going on here? My keyboard's messing up and everything. There we go. Fact check.
I'm looking up a Hebrew word while you're doing that, just so you know.
Oh, go ahead, brother. See this, guys? So in court, oh, they're going to try to make it go slow right now. They don't want you seeing this part. Look how slow it's going. There we go. Facebook admits the truth. Fact checks are really just lefty opinions. This was December 14th. They had a court case, and right here they admit it. Facebook finally admitted the truth that fact check that social media uses to police what Americans read and watch is just an opinion because they had a lawsuit against them. So it's not a fact, it's their opinion. You know what I mean? That's so
Right.
deceptive. It's so deceptive, bro. But
That's
as
why
you can,
I don't even like to believe in facts anymore, man.
yeah, I don't go with
Like
what facts.
I just go with what feels right in my intuition on my path.
Yep, that's smart, brother. I would like to know who this lady is, Denitra Singer. That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, who is she? Because she's the one who says requesting documents pertaining to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body, and the location of the buried Nephilim. And as you can see, that's on Freedom of Information Act, state government, um, page 470, which is 47, though, 47 degree Masonic compass, right there. And I give you all the links and everything in this blog so you can find it yourself. But I thought that was very fascinating.
Yeah.
It seems like they found something. They probably did lie to us about the location, you know. And then, bro, remember there was that rumor, like when Iraq was going on, that there was some giant that the soldiers got in a fight with over there. Did
Yeah.
you ever hear about that? The
Yeah.
Kandahar giant or something?
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
that all about?
I mean, as I can't say for certain, you know, because I wasn't there, but I know giants existed, and I know those are the types of tools that they were reported to have used in ancient times, you know. And I also think that giant animals have sprung forth from cave systems and cavernous systems around the world, like Mammoth Cave and the mammoths. You know, that's why it's named that. Mammoths came up out of it. While you were talking, you mentioned the city of Uruk,
Yeah,
right?
Uruk. I was reading a
I
lot
was looking
about.
that up. So I was looking that up because remember I said that one of my theories is that the new names that we have in the modern world, many of those are renamed after their homeland, right? The quadrants at the North Pole. So Uruk is an interesting name. First, if you recall, going back to the Rings of Power, what's the name of the originally name for orcs? Do you remember?
No, I don't. What is it?
Remember whenever Galadriel caught that one orc that was like the leader of all of them, and he was actually like just an elf, basically. He's like a dark
Yeah.
elf. And she kept calling him orc, like it was like a derogatory way of calling him something, right? And he kept
Yeah.
correcting her, and he said Uruk. He's like, it's not orc, it's Uruk, or the Urukai, right?
Right.
So those are the people from Uruk. And Uruk starts with, because I like etymology, I like to break these words down.
Me too.
Even Abraham himself was from a city called Ur, U-R, or it's actually 3 letters in Hebrew, Or, which is the root of Ora, and it means light, the city of light. A city, this is a place of power where those beams of energy were bursting forth from the earth, shooting up into the sky, just like you see in the Superman movies on Krypton. You know how their planet was destroyed. You see those same pillars, same beams of light shooting up into the heavens, and it looks like the earth's exploding or whatever. This is Uruk. So the Ur, it means light or fire. You could also say fire, but it's really light. And then Uk is just, it's a Vav and a Kaf at the end. Vav is just a connector. So it's an attachment. It means like of, basically. And then Ka or Kaf at the end. In modern Hebrew, I think it means like possessive, like their, like something that belongs to them, like it's theirs or whatever. So it's like the city could mean of their light or their light, but ka or kaf is also a prefix that means like, as, or according to. So it's like it's light with a likeness, basically. It's something along those lines. And that's the ancient city of the Uruk, where the Urukai come from, in, you know, symbolically speaking, in the Rings of Power, at least, and the Lord of the Rings and stuff. And those are where the orcs are. Orcs are just different versions of elves, and the elves are really the Elu, which are the L
Elohim.
with a U at the end, which means of the L, right? And the Elu is a certain rank that you can get to within Freemasonry. It's called the Elu of 9, and
Yeah.
there's 9 again, right? And they also have Elu of something else too. I can't remember. But Elu is elf. It means the V at the end is just a pronunciation that turned into an F. It's a hard V that became an F. It's elf. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Those are the elves. Those are the orcs or the Uruk or the Urukai, the people from or the city of light, or the city that produces light, or the city that surrounds a beacon of light and a beam of light, a column and a pillar of light that shoots up into the sky. And those are where the original cities started, because there's more than just one. There's one main one that comes up out of Mount Meru, but there's cavernous openings all around the world. So you're going to have places of power. You're going to have smaller versions of this light of the world that are all across the world, all over the place. And those who live closest to them, and especially those who dwell within them, if it's cold plasma, they won't get burned or anything. They'll just be empowered. Like that dude in Quantum Leap when he stands in like that blue energy and there's all that wind blowing and stuff. That's exactly what that is. Anyways, these people would settle in the Southlands. They would naturally settle around terrestrial light beams that shoot up into the sky in a time of darkness or mist or fog because of atmospheric depressurization. And they would create a circle around that beam all the way around. And they would settle. People would, grab their land in a circle eventually that goes all the way out to the extremities. And this was the orb of the original circles. The original cities.
So, bro, what you're saying about like the light bear, all that, this full circle, Helen, this Hurricane Helen, if you look into the etymology of that name, bro, it gets into light too. And Helen is derived from the ancient Greek name, kind of looks like even, or kind of reminds me of Elven a little bit, but famously associated with Helen of Troy. While the etymology of the name remains debated, it's often linked to the Greek word heli, meaning torch or light, invoking illumination and brilliance. This direct association with light mirrors the symbolic role of Lucifer, whose name is the light bearer. I thought that was pretty interesting, bro. And Helen of Troy, remember, she was the one that caused that great war between the Greeks and the fall of Troy. And you have many different theories. Some people say, oh, Troy didn't really exist, but there's tons of evidence it did exist.
And the name in Greek, it also kind of resembles the word heaven. If you look at the top there, it looks like an E-A-V-N, heaven. And then also where it says Hele, it says it's often linked to the Greek word hele or hele. Now, in ancient languages, they had a sound that what we have today corresponds to our pH in English, which we say things like phone, right? It makes an F sound. And in ancient languages, it can make a different sound or whatever. But if that's one of them, then that would be akin to Pele as well, who's also another fire god in Hawaii. So Fele, Pele, Hele, Helen, Heleon, which means of the light, Heleon.
What if what happened in Hawaii, bro, was due to this plasma stuff? And
I think so.
And then Chile too. It caught on fire like that. Ones that they're just like, oh, no, these are wildfires are happening because of this, but really it's the plasma. Dude, they've done a good job covering this event up pretty good, haven't they? I mean,
well, so have we, though. I mean, like we have some responsibility to take, allowing ourselves to be deceived and to forget. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some responsibility that lies with us as the general population, but on the other hand, as well, like the sheep have shepherds, like, and they're like, you gotta break out of all of that or whatever.
There's not a lot of people that think like you, though, or think like me, like where they look outside and look into the etymology of word. Like, how many people do you think are like, okay, Helen, let me go look at the etymology of the word Helen and figure out why they named this? Probably no one.
Nobody.
Me and you.
But those are my breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? Those are my trail of breadcrumbs. And I'll tell you how I think a lot of these wildfires start, just like the ones in Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii is amazing. That's why I love, I always start all of my programs off with aloha. And, oftentimes I say mahalo, which is thank you in Hawaiian as well.
I
And
thought you were Hawaiian when I first met you. Remember, I was
I
like,
get
Jay,
that
do
a
you live in
lot.
Hawaii?
I have a Hawaiian spirit. I have that aloha
You got a
spirit.
Hawaiian
I
vibe,
like to
brother.
embrace that. But oh man, Hawaii is an interesting place. I really vibe with like a Polynesian kind of culture and mythology and things of that nature, because these are the islanders. These are people that live on volcanoes. And my theory on volcanoes is that they are inner earth entrances. Like that right now, they're not. Right now, they're plugged up. Right now, there's a radioactive decay that's leading to molten metals that are mixing with the earth and creating magma and freaking lava and stuff like that. But whenever that stuff blows out during the next apocalyptic cycle, to make room for those doors open, to make room for these places of power and these lights that shoot up into the heavens or whatever, and they're doorways, so those creatures and beings can now go right on up. They can come out of those caves, those cavernous systems, and they settle in those areas. So those people's cultures and their stories that they share, to me, are some of the oldest, most ancient records in existence. They themselves have still been cartoonified or whatever, but that's how you get these islands. Like damn, what's the name of that island? What's the name of the guy that invented freaking evolution? Darwin, right? So anyways, Darwin went to the Galapagos, where he found all these weird animals. Many of them have no business being stranded on an island. And they try to figure it out, like, well, humans must have brought them here, but the problem is that there's no record of humans having been there, that long, and bringing all these weird things like tortoises and stuff that, or whatever. And many of these animals can't swim. What are you doing on an island? How'd you get there if you can't swim? Mammoths also, like the last island that had mammoths or whatever, like that's an island way up in the Arctic. And I mean, they'll try to say, oh, there was an ice bridge or whatever. Okay, well, how do you explain all these ones that's around the equator? Anyways, these are inner earth entrances to me. That's how I see these volcanoes and stuff. And Hawaii, especially the language, is very close to Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, and many of their stories and traditions and myths and language and stuff is very close.
Cherokee is very close to Aramaic, and that's interesting too.
Yes, many of these people are brown in color. Okay, I'm just gonna be general in the whole color thing, but they're very brown toned. Okay, and that's because inside of the earth where they came from, like the ant people, the Hopi, all that stuff, those beings in the earth are said to be red. They're said to, the light source is different down there, the energy is different, and the melatonin works in different ways, and they're more of a red natural skin color, right? Those beings who descend from space or the heavens are white. They're phantazoid white, gray colored, basically. They don't have color. They come down from the heavens, and we in between are a mix of all of these ones, those of us who live on the Southlands or whatever. Anyways, I'm rambling, dude. I forget. You got me so excited talking about Hawaii. Oh, I was going to tell you my theory. That's right. On the wildfires. I went off on a tangent. Good, bro. Crazy.
Yeah, tangent. No, you're good. I love your tangents.
I need to get it all out. It's all trapped in here. I need to share it. Please let me talk. Let me get it out. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's
but my theory is that it's gases that are being released. Two things actually. One, the sun's heating up. Okay, so that's a contributor, and the sun's transitioning into a blue spectrum right now. If that's
why
true,
we're getting that bright white looking sun. That's not the golden color we were used to when we grew up, right?
Yes, and NASA admits
with the Hopi prophecy, the blue Kachina or anything.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. I think going to be the sun. I believe is going to become the blue Kachina star one of these days. That it's going to become that. Anyways, if I'm correct in assuming that the sun is going through a color spectrum shift and it's transitioning into a hotter color, which is blue, right? And this is what NASA says. They say the real color of the sun is like a bluish green color. Okay, this is what they say if you look it up. Then it makes sense that to repel that heat or that light or that blue light, what color would you need? Blue, right? So all of these things that didn't catch on fire that are blue, I think that's really interesting, because blue is
Yeah.
blue because it's reflecting back the blue light. It doesn't keep it. It doesn't get that hot blue light. It reflects us back. You know what I mean? So if the sun is giving off blue light and the sun is slowly becoming a deadly laser, then all this blue stuff is going to reflect that blue light right back at it. Another thing, though, are the gases that are being released right now from these fluctuations that the Earth's going through as birth pangs of a woman who's about to give birth, which is the apocalypse. These gases are being released in mass, and they're coming up. They're causing sinkholes, earthquakes, earthquake lights as those gases ionize, and also combustion. So if they go to places that are electrically amplified or have natural fires or whatnot, those gases can combust. They can explode. And when they explode, they're going to set things on fire in forests and stuff. And you know, all of these forest fires, these massive ones, I've found are in places that have cavernous openings that go down into the earth and have massive amounts of gas that are coming out of them, like Siberia and Greece and Hawaii.
And China is putting all these blue roofs on. Maybe they know about the plasma apocalypse. Maybe they know that's going to save them. And you know, the laser beam doesn't burn the blue. And now they're selling these blue rollouts. They just started selling them here in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's because you were talking about the blue roofs, how it didn't burn. So I'm like, man, wouldn't that be crazy? Because whole cities in China is doing this, bro. They're like, whole cities are putting their roofs blue.
Well, is that laser blue? It looks like it's a blue laser.
Yep, it sure is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Imagine that's the sun.
Blue. Yep.
Yeah, imagine that's the sun, dude. So the focal point gets more and more focused as time goes on. We live during the time when the focal point gets more focused. The opposite age is whenever it becomes more dispersed. And during that time, which is our ancient past, the sun would become bigger and bigger and bigger. It looks like it's growing in size. However, the atmosphere would become colder and colder and colder because the light is more diffuse. It's more spread out. And that leads to the Great Winter. That leads to Fimbulwinter. But we're not in that time. We're in the time when the sunlight is getting more and more. So like if my arm, like I can't do it right now, but like, okay, so where my hands cross, that's the sun. Okay. Up here is the light from the heavens. They meet at the focal point, which is the sun. They redistribute themselves, which are my arms, going down to the land, and it creates daytime. Okay. But whenever the light above contracts, because it's actually fluctuating all the time, which is why the sun goes north and south, you know, giving us seasons or whatever. When that light above contracts, so does the light below or the daytime below, and it becomes more focused and hotter and hotter and hotter. The more it contracts and the smaller and more narrow it gets, the less daytime we're going to have, and time will speed up, or it appears to be speeding up, and it will get hotter and hotter and hotter. And the sun will go through a color spectrum shift into the blue spectrum, which for lights is the hottest form of light, until eventually it's completely blue, as is the light that it will cast. And because it's created by the firmament, it will eventually get so narrow that it will hit that inverted dome, the eye in the sky, and the only light that we will see will be a ring of blue, and the rest of it will be black. So it will be the blue star Kachina removing its mask with a black face or a dark face, and only the outside of it will be seen. Its true self will be seen because it removes all that light, and you can see the darkness or whatever. And it will rest above the North Pole as the anti-beam, that the light that causes destruction and desolation and causes the earth to become desolate, as it burns a freaking yellow brick road spiraling its way to the North Pole, and it rests over the seat of God, or over Mount Meru, over that plasma volcano, which provides the true light, the true Christ, the true beam that is life-giving. And that blue beam of ionized oxygen, I speculate on what the gas is, but I'm pretty sure it's ionized oxygen. That one clashes. So they fight, right? You have the Christ and the Antichrist, the killer hot laser light and the cold plasma that rises up, and then one of them will win because the sun will disappear as we move into a transition into the next world. It'll go away for like 3 days.
and maybe that's where that rapture thing comes from too, where people get sucked up into heaven, dude.
Yep.
You know, during the depressurization, like yeah, people are getting sucked up, and people probably did think back in the ancient times when they see people floating away, like, oh my god, you know, they're getting raptured up. And I'm not saying the rapture is not real or nothing. I'm just saying maybe. I'm just thinking out loud. You know.
Yeah.
Could be.
Hold
it's
on.
just-
I'm pulling up my website while you talk. Go ahead.
It's just fascinating, bro, to see all this stuff happening in front of us, and like all the conversations me and you have had off air, and to see it all coming true right now. It's like, man, what the heck is going on? You know, it's awesome. It's a great time to be alive. I'm not really scared about it at all. I know a lot of people fear it and stuff. I don't fear it. I'm excited about it, bro. You know, I'm
I'm
glad.
also excited because I don't like the world as it is because it's so negative. It's the season of Satan, you know, like it's a negative energy. We're lacking energy,
Yeah,
which goes back to the concept of sin. Like a lot of the religious concepts are true. I just have a different perception of them. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I
Um,
agree. What about in Game of Thrones and like everybody Joe Biden kept saying dark winter, and then Game of Thrones they kept saying winter is coming, winter is coming. Does that play a role in what you were just talking about with the winter thing?
yeah. So that give me 1 second. 1 second. I gotta find
Because
this
that's
real
not,
quick.
I like I'm very good at paying attention to pattern recognition. When I notice they keep saying shit and repeating it, I'm like, something's up with this. There's a reason they keep saying it. And they were saying that winter's coming, and not just the Game of Thrones, it was in many different things. Winter's coming, winter's coming. And then in Game of Thrones, that's when like the Ice King and all that death came, and
Yes.
um, they had the Nephilim giants in there too. Remember?
Yeah, dude, Game of Thrones,
They were
I
actually
haven't
good.
even seen all of it, right? But I mean, it seems to me it sort of represents a time of magic, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
it
magical
does.
creatures in the show, right? Or
Oh yeah,
giants and stuff like that.
you would love it if you haven't seen it, bro. You got a new
I
member.
I tried to watch. I tried so hard to watch that. It started
Shout out,
off good, but it got really political, and then they lost me.
shout out to Rabbids Dojo. Thanks for joining Jay's membership.
Oh, hey, thank you. Okay, so let me answer your question because I found what I was looking for on my website about the rapture. So let's come back to the rapture in just a second. But I want to answer your question about the Great Winter.
Yeah, Joe
Um,
kept saying dark winter, didn't he, Kristen? I did a
yes,
decode on this girl right here. Shout out to her. I remember her decode very vividly.
yes. So there's two different cycles, to the best of my knowledge and my understanding as it is now. Okay, so we have the cycle we're in now, which is the non-magical time, where we create technology in order to still sort of have a remnant of magic. Then the time to come and the time we just left is the time of magic. That is an electrically amplified atmosphere when we become magical and we have telepathy and all of these, you know, fringe pseudoscience things that they don't believe in today because we live under different conditions. Um, the Game of Thrones represents the time of magic. So you have to we we would do well not to project our modern times upon those times that are being represented in that fictional story, right? They are showing us the time that once was, right? If it's the time that once was, that means that their cataclysm that they are going to go through is not the sun getting hotter and hotter and hotter. It is the sun becoming larger and more diffuse, which is going to make it colder and colder and colder. And actually, it starts turning red. So if you look at the ancient depictions of the sun, it's red. In all these ancient Egypt, ancient Japan, all these places, the sun is red. And the red sun got bigger and bigger, and it got colder and colder, and it led to a great winter the world across. And this is represented in mainstream academics as what do they call that when like the world was frozen over or whatever? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to think what it was called.
Yeah, in school they teach about like, you know, everything froze. I forgot what that's called.
I Ice Age?
Yeah, the Ice Age. Thank you.
I don't know
So
why I was.
that's the Ice Age. Okay, that's the Great Winter, and it lasts for it starts for 3 years. In which case, there's the first 3 years are pretty bad, and then it culminates in the final 3 years or 3.5 years. I think it's like a total of 7. And there's war. There's a great war at the end of that, which is Ragnarok, also.
Ooh.
And anyways, it's freezing cold. The world across. It's terrible. And not the apocalyptic cycle that you want to go through. One, because I hate the cold personally, and two, after that the deluge comes, the flooding comes, right? So that's how that world always ends, is with a flood. Just like in Game of Thrones, how they keep seeing that the Numenor was going to be flooded and stuff. That's the elven time. That's the time of magic and stuff. That's their destruction, is going to be the flood. Ours is the fire. Ours is this spiritual fire that descends from above in the form of plasma and stuff. And we return to a desert world like Arrakis. You know what I mean? On Dune,
Oh, Dune. Yeah, that's a good one too. Did you watch the new Dune?
Like the part 2?
Yeah.
I have not seen that one. No,
Bro.
Not yet. I'll have to check it out.
Called,
I have Killer Clowns from Outer Space like prepped on my TV. After we're done talking,
dude.
I'm gonna watch that. But I'll watch Dune next after that one.
I want to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space too and do a decode with you on that. That's an old school. That's a good one there. But Dune too, it's bro, you got to watch and we got to do a decode on it. So in it, he's like the coming of the Mahdi, they call him.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like an Arabic version of religion on that planet, kind of very similar. They worship water though. So like when you die, they put you in this thing, bro. It kind of is like one of them bags that you would suck all the air out of and vacuum seal food in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They put you in that, and then it sucks all your water out, and you go into this like lake that's underground, and this lake is huge. It's full of water, but in this land, in this land, people are dying of thirst, and nobody will drink from that lake because it's so sacred, and it's just full of water, but it's all from people's bodies,
Oh, dude, that's just like in 3-Body Problem. Remember? Like they wrapped up the people, like they laid down in the sun and they dried up.
Yep.
And then they like wrapped them up, and then to bring them back, they threw them into that water or whatever.
Yep.
That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, you're right. They threw them in that water, and then the one time when they brought him back too soon, then they ended up dying. Remember?
Yeah. And there's also a Dune connection with the Golden Compass with the dust. Because on Dune, they sift through the sand to collect that special dust or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yep.
The same thing with the Golden Compass. They have that special dust or whatever.
That dust is why they make all that money on that planet Arrakis.
Yeah.
It's like a currency.
Do you know much about it? I don't know much about it because I never really finished the movie. But I'm guessing that dust is like life-giving in some way.
It gets them high, and like when it makes them have crazy dreams when they're out in the desert and they first start getting used to it. And then there's this bald race of people. They're the bad ones, and they bathe in black goo, bro. They're all like symbiotic. Yeah, they're merging with black goo, and they're the ones that are evil. They're kind of, you know what they really look like? The engineers in Prometheus.
Yeah, I bet. Like
I
said, they come from above. They're going to be that color.
Yep. And they're the bad ones. They're the ones that go to Arrakis and try to kill that sacred bloodline. And, I guess what that kid kind of represents is like the Messiah.
Spice. That's what it's called.
Yeah, Spice. Good job, Sundown.
So check this out. There's also a spice connection, or that same dust in that TV show. I forgot the name of it, but it's in Wyoming, and there's a hole in the ground, and it like the people go into it and they time travel. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh man, I do, but I can't think of the name of it.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen parts of it.
It's so good. I don't usually watch like a lot of like TV series or anything, but that one's good. I forgot what that was called. But Yeah, Open Range. So the
That is
same
so
thing.
good. Yeah, I
And
just started watching it actually.
bro, he starts off the whole show talking about Kronos. That's the intro,
I know. That's
right?
what you know what made me watch that show? Because I was such a big fan of Yellowstone, and I watched Yellowstone, and then that got recommended to me, and I'm like, when I started watching Open Range, I'm like, this is nothing like Yellowstone, but it ended up being really good. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, what is
Well,
going on here? They're throwing a guy's body in this portal thing, and
well, when you continue to watch it later on in the episodes, um, the area where that hole is, when they dig it up, they find like this dust or this dirt or whatever, and they eat it. Like they'll lick it, and it gives them
oh,
visions of the future, dude. They can prophesy and they know what's going to happen in the future and
that's
stuff.
what happens in Dune.
That's what I'm saying.
And check this out. So the dust, the sandworms, the big sandworms, they're
Hmm.
huge, dude. And if they hear you move in the desert, they'll come up and eat you. But the Muslim type people, they know how to like ride them and shit. They communicate with these things, and their blood comes out blue, and it's supposed to be like a concentrated form of that dust because they're
Yeah.
always eating that dust, and it's blue, and they drink that blood, dude, and it makes them see the future, everything that's going to happen, just like what you're saying. So there's got to be something there that they're showing us that's in Dune, that's in, oh, you know what I'm
So
saying?
the sandworm's blood is blue?
Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense actually to me because those sandworms, okay, in the world to come, gigantism will be reintroduced. Okay, like that's the way it was. That's the way it's going to be, especially in the insect world. So that all we have giant worms and stuff that live under the ground, but they're going to get huge. Okay, and all of those. The earth is going to shake a bunch, which is going to cause more of liquidy conditions as liquefaction causes like more of a swampy world for a little bit, right? All the water rises up to the top and stuff. It's perfect for worms and stuff too, and they'll grow to gigantic sizes with the influx of oxygen and the lessening of pressure in our world. And they're going through all of the elements that are down there being energized by all these beams and stuff, right? So these beams, they shoot up through these cavernous systems and cracks in the earth and volcanoes and stuff too, right? um, Positive, life giving energy that is shooting up, emanating up and out of the earth. And that some of that energy is absorbed by certain minerals like crystals and metals. And those metals today are called radioactive because they're losing that energy. They're giving off the energy. They're expelling it. They're losing the energy. They can no longer contain it. So they're going through what's known as radioactive decay, which means they're magic rocks, basically. But during the time whenever the Earth was providing the energy and they were absorbing it constantly, they weren't radioactive like dangerous how we think of it today. And people, this is what I think the Anunnaki were looking for. I don't believe they were looking for gold. I believe
You
they were
know,
looking for life-giving minerals that were magic rocks, magic metals and crystals that gave them life, that they
I,
used, that had little properties of the original beams itself. If they couldn't live in those places of power, they would go looking for this shiny material, which the old word for gold, is arg, and
I
they
think
were
you're right.
looking for.
Because Inky, there was a story about Inky having this serum that he would hog and he wouldn't let none of the other Anunnaki have. And they said when they came down here, our sun started causing them to lose their life. So they were living, 100,000 years on Nibiru or whatever. But then here they were dying early. And
Yeah.
Inky had some type of potion that he would drink and
Yes.
it would extend their life. And like Rabid Dojo, who joined your membership, said the spice in Dune prolonged exposure turned the people's eyes blue too. So not only was the
Mm,
sandworm's blood blue, but these beautiful Arabic people, they were like, and I only call them Arabic because you could tell their religion is based on Islam, right?
right.
Totally based on Islam, and like their Messiah is the Mahdi. That all comes from Islam, but they were beautiful. Muslim looking people with beautiful blue eyes, dude. And it really made them stand out. And it was due to that spice. So Yeah, there's got to be something there. You know, there's these archetypes that they show us in different movies over and over again, and it comes from something real. I think it's
No,
fascinating.
I totally. And so this dust is probably particles of those substances that they're trying to mine. They're trying to get it, because it opens up the mind, acting like a drug that we would use
Third
today,
eye.
or that we have today. But it's not a drug. It's energetic. It's energy. It's energized. It's kryptonite. You know what I mean? Like it's all these different types of glowing, rocks and minerals and crystals that you see all throughout fiction and fantasy and sci-fi. You know what it is in the Rings of Power? Remember, it's mithril.
Oh,
They,
yep.
they put that dying leaf right next to it, and it regenerates the leaf.
Yes,
They're
it does.
showing it.
And guys, this ain't the real donut. You guys do know that, right? Everybody in the chat keeps talking to this dude like, yo, donut. That's not donut is DOENUT. But shout out to this person. They didn't
Yeah,
try to
that's
pretend to
Danger
be
Mouse.
that's
I just call him
Mouse.
Danger Mouse.
I think he's from he said where he was from when he came in. He's from like over the pond somewhere, which he
Scotland?
wasn't trying to pretend like he was donut or nothing. I think
Nah.
people just thought it was donut.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's his nickname, but shout out to him. But yeah, that's not Donut Factory, guys. That's a different donut. But shout out to that donut
Yeah,
too.
Scotland. Yeah, I thought so. I can't believe I remembered that.
He said, I'm the real donut in Scotland. Yeah. You and Donut got to have a battle for that name, but he spells it a little different, brother. His is DOENUT. You spell yours, I guess, donut. Well, donut, the real way is with the DOUGH, right?
Yeah.
Donut.
I guess. I don't know.
They spell it many different ways.
Yeah.
Very strange name Donut picked, but Donut's a weird guy. He picks.
You're making me hungry, man. I want a Boston cream.
I don't know why he came up with that name. Then he's got a picture of him riding a dolphin with his cat holding it in his hand. You know, he just he's very artistic. But Donut's actually highly intelligent, man. When he figures out stuff that is above the average person's head. That's why they don't catch on. But like the decoders love to watch his stuff. You can tell they steal his shit all the time. You know, and that's more of a compliment when you get when you get to that level. I know you have it happen all the time. I've seen some of your breakdowns go.
I love it, dude.
Views, and it'll be like a different channel, and it's not even.
I mean, if they straight up, reproduce my exact video with me talking and everything, and then they take out my forget that. But like, I'll go on to TikTok and I see people like, oh my god, plasma apocalypse, check this out, and they're talking about it, and they don't even have to say my name or anything. Like, I'm so honored and proud and happy to be
me too.
Find my niche within this community of truth seekers, that people on TikTok are talking about it and bringing it to light and everything. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'm listening to all these different perspectives on things, and I think it's cool.
That's actually, believe it or
not, I don't
not,
get mad, and say, oh, they stole that from me or whatever.
No, I get mad when it's another content creator that just like steals it and pretends like it's their information, and just
like the same exact video, basically.
Yeah, that's flat. Like, come on, man, don't be doing. But whatever. Even then, I laugh at them, but they do it to me all the time. But you know how I found you, brother? This dude on Instagram, his name was like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something, but he was always talking about telekinesis and the plasma apocalypse. And I'm like, man, this guy's talking about is interesting. And he was sharing videos of you, and it was like a 5-minute clip video. It has millions of views on it. And it was you breaking down how the plasma punches through the firmament and the depressurization. You had like some diaphragm there.
Yeah.
And I seen that video. I'm like, man, who is this guy? But he didn't have your name in the video. And then but that was the first time I ever seen you. And I found you again because I typed in the word plasma apocalypse after I watched that video. And then that's how I found you. I found your YouTube. I found your. Well, I was
every video I do is tagged plasma apocalypse. Like, you can put in the keywords. I got J Dreamers, plasma apocalypse, and there's like 3 or 4 other ones. And then I actually used the keywords for the video. But I mean, it's all connected. For me, the plasma apocalypse is it's the key that has unlocked so many things that connects. It's like the grand unified conspiracy theory answer to me. You know what I mean? I can see the connection of the future prophecy, the past, ancient oblivion, the present world, where we are, who we are, logos, designs, etymology. Like it's all a web that's all connected together, and it's none of it's separate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, dude, you opened my eyes to it. And I told Donut that not too long ago when we were talking on the phone. I said, I'll tell you one thing, bro. Jay opened my eyes to this plasma shit, and it's like in everything. It's encoded in so many movies. I see it in everything now.
Yeah.
It's like the real
bro.
hidden secret among the secret societies, you know?
It is. Why do you think they're all pointing up? You know what I mean? Like, why
It
do you
really
think they're
is,
all
bro.
doing one eye symbolism and spirals and like that's the eye in the sky. This is if people want to learn like the secrets of Freemasonry and stuff, dude, I'm sharing it daily, all the time. I'm like I'm telling people this is what the ladder is, this is what the pillars are, this is what the tree trunk is, this is what the rabbit is, this is what the this and that. And I'm not trying to brag and sound like I'm giving the answers away or anything, but I'm like, it's connected and it makes sense. It resonates with me personally, and it's reasonable, between creativity, which is symbolism, and fact and actuality and science and things of that nature. There's a balance between the two. And we're so left brain these days because of the energy that exists around us, that it forces us to think more like robots, and the ends justify the means, and more mathematical and stuff. Which is why I really like, when we talk, because like you bring the math, you bring the numbers and gematria and stuff, and that balances me out.
Yeah, no, I love it too. That's why it's cool. Our whole thing, the Truth Mafia, with you with the plasma apocalypse, Donut with the symbols, Ani, he gets into the numbers, the symbols, Gnosticism. Like, we all have our own different niches, and then when we come together, bro, it's like freaking Voltron. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
There ain't no one out there messing with us.
I'm glad you didn't say Power Rangers.
No. I used to watch them all the time, though. I'm not even going to cap. What Power Ranger was you?
Yeah, Voltron and then Ultron. Remember Ultron?
I was the Green Ranger.
Yeah, I was also the Green Ranger.
Yeah, the Green Ranger. Gangster, dude.
Yeah, the green energy.
I like the green one. And I think the white one too. I can't remember what he was, but
I don't know. I didn't watch it really, unless there was nothing else on. Like,
I
could. It was so over exaggerated, and like the traditional Japanese lips not syncing up with the words, and when that lady's fighting him and all that is, I don't know. That's the same reason I didn't watch like the original Godzillas and stuff like that. Even though I will now, Or anime. I couldn't get into anime until my son was born, and he introduced me to Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm like, whoa, there's truth in this stuff. What is this? What do you got going on?
Oh yeah, the Avatar: The Last Airbender.
What was that other one? There's a pirate, Monkey D. Luffy. What was the name of that one?
I don't know about that, but I was going to show you before we go today, because we knocked out like 2.5 hours here. Somebody told me about this in the comments on Facebook. This person told me to watch this. They said there's tons of symbolism in it. It's called The Wild Robot. Have you heard of that yet?
I saw a preview for that when I went to see Beetlejuice Part 2. It kind of reminds me of the Iron Giant. I don't know what it's about, but it kind of has like an Iron Giant feel to it.
Yeah, I don't know what it's about either, but I'm going to check it out tonight and see. I can't say the name of this site, guys, but you can read up here, if you want to watch some free movies.
Yeah. I was wondering what the new spot was.
That's the new spot. Well, it's our old spot. It came back, bro.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still got it on the computer.
Yeah, he just
using
changed
Brave, right? The Brave search engine.
Brave search engine. That way you don't get pop-ups. And he just changed it a little. So remember, it used to be like he didn't have that WW4 there. But somebody told me that like he got hit with he actually went to court and shit. Because this guy, Yeah, he's had his site taken down so many times, guys, and he just puts it right back up. He does not care, but he's like in Russia or something. So, definitely don't log into it. I tell people that all the time. Probably
Right.
KGB and Putin own it.
Right.
But I watch all my movies on here, dude, all my breakdowns. They got the new Deadpool, Wolverine. Some of them are in camera version, but even that's just until they get out on the mainstream. Then they'll be HD and it's perfect quality. But like all the new stuff is over here,
I think they got it.
I mean, I also got Peacock. I like that one too. Hulu, Netflix. I got all the
I've been limited on funds lately, so I got rid of Netflix and I'm strictly on Amazon. And then I realized YouTube has free movies. Like I just discovered that a month ago. So every once in a while I check YouTube to see if whatever it is free.
You probably were so sad when this went away because we didn't have to pay for nothing for like a year. Remember, we all had this for free.
Yeah.
And anything, guys, that's on Amazon.
I watched that one with my son about the stuffed animal that comes to life. I forgot what that one was called.
That one was pretty cool.
Is there any new ones that look really deep or anything that you've seen?
I'm gonna tell you, as far as just a good show.
Yeah.
And I was shocked because you think Penguin and you think Batman, right?
Right.
But it wasn't very Batman-y. It was more like gangster, mobster. But it's the Penguin season 1 episode. I only watch episode 1. It's gonna be. I know this series is gonna be phenomenal, Jay. The Penguin, it's so good. The first one, I think you'd like it. I also like From season 3's out now. There's a lot of weird stuff in that. Kind of reminds me of the Vril. They get stuck in the city that's like a time loop, and they can't.
I love that kind of stuff. Okay,
yeah,
I'll check that out.
I know you would really like.
I thought that was a movie. That's okay.
No, it's a series, and there's these entities, bro. They're always smiling, and they try to mimic you. They shapeshift and look like you, but they're not us, bro. They're some type of like real reptilian type entity under there, and they eat you. So, but they come up to you smiling,
huge
and they
smiles, huh?
Yeah, huge smile from like they don't know how to act like a person. They're trying to mimic.
Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun.
Yeah, it's something like that. But and this is another good one too. I think Tulsa King's pretty good with Sylvester Stallone. Just as far as there's not a lot of symbolism or nothing in it, but just a good show. Just a pretty good show, but yeah, I just had to get. I always got to give some movie recommendations at the end. Did you ever?
Go ahead.
Did you decode Fallout?
I breezed through it. I did a quick decode on it. I'm not satisfied with the decode I did, so if you want to jump on that, I'm totally willing to because there's way more. I barely even scratched the surface of Fallout.
Yeah, let's do one on it, bro, because I did a members only one, and it did really good. I'd like to do one for the public. I got so much stuff on it. Dude, it got nominated for like 17 Grammys or something. Did you see that shit?
No.
Yeah, I was like, what? This movie? I mean, it was good, but 17 Grammys? I don't understand how it got all that stuff.
I don't know.
Remember they had the fake sun, though, down there? The artificial sun that was underneath.
Oh, yeah. In the vault.
Yep. You had Vault 31. So Vault 31 was the hidden vault where, like, all the cloning shit was going on. And that's very interesting because 31 is the Matrix, right? In Chaldean, the Matrix 31, then 32 and 33 were the vaults that were actually being controlled. And these are the 3 levels in Freemasonry that are very connected, 31, 32, and 33. When you go from the 32nd to the 33rd, that's when you're supposed to learn the true knowledge, right? Before that, you really don't know what the hell is going on, they say. But you start to learn it at like the 31st degree, and they're starting to dip your toes into it. But I was thinking about checking this one out. Borderlands, Jay, I haven't checked that out yet.
I did check that out. I saw that one.
Dude, I'll tell you what's good if you haven't seen it. Alien, Romulus. Did you see this one yet?
No, where is it? Oh, I'm so glad she's wearing her face mask.
Bro, it's so I would love to decode that with you too.
That's the face hugger. I'll have to check that out because I like all the aliens and Prometheus and stuff. Do they
Bro.
tie in Prometheus?
Yes. Prometheus. They show you how Prometheus, the engineers, are born, bro. And they're
Ah,
Yep, and it grows up instantly. It grows up into a like full grown. It comes out of a woman. It's mixing the woman with the
don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm just kidding.
Well, you
Don't
know,
tell me.
what's the name of that alien in Aliens? What do they call it? The
The xenomorph.
xenomorph. So the xenomorph mixes with the human female somehow, and that freaking engineer gets born out of her, and then it grows up into this giant Nephilim looking thing that's like 15 foot tall, bro. And it goes over top of its mom to suckle her like it's gonna start feeding, and she has black goo coming out of her instead of milk.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, what is this? I mean, that's at the end of it, but yeah, it's fascinating. I think you'll find some stuff in that I didn't even find. I would love to do that with you.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And we'll
Well,
do the
guys,
black goo and the milk too. One of these days.
yeah. Oh, the white milk
Yeah.
with the black goo. Yeah, we should do an episode just on them two things. Because I don't think nobody's hip to really the milk. Everybody talks about the black goo, but they don't talk about the milk part of it.
Yeah.
Which gets into Westworld.
Yeah.
The milk.
All kinds of things. All the bad guys drinking milk, all that stuff.
Yeah, if you guys watch Evil, what we were talking about, what we showed you in the beginning of this. Yeah, Evil, their opening credits, it's all that white milk that you see in Westworld, and then their hands rise up out of the white milk and it's covered in black goo, bro.
Yeah. And you know what else too that reminds me of? Ernest Scared Stupid. It's like a Halloween Ernest movie or whatever. And there's these trolls, and to kill the trolls, he figures out that like milk kills them. So it's like he uses milk to kill the trolls or whatever. It's really interesting.
What do you think that milk is? What do you think it represents before we go real quick? Because some people are probably like, what the hell are Tommy and Jay talking about? Milk and black goo.
I feel like I'm really close to a solid theory on it. I can't say 100% for sure right now, and I don't really want to like speculate before I have a better grasp, but I will say I feel like it's related to the land of milk and honey, which I don't believe is milk and I don't believe is honey, because I'm studying Hyperborea and the Garden of Eden and whatnot, and it has to do with natural byproducts of the earth in certain areas going through certain conditions and shifts and changes and stuff. Same thing with the black goo. It's the same type of thing. And I think that the black goo probably has traces of magnetite. That's why it seems to be like magnetic. You know what I mean? How like the whole magnets on some of those things, and they move and stuff.
Too. And like if you put black goo on one side of the room and the other, it finds each other. Like it'll find each other.
Yeah.
And it looks like it stands up and wants to like talk to each other. I don't know. It's weird.
But that milk is more the life. I mean, they both are sort of life giving. You know what I mean? But one is more parasitic. One is it creates new life by taking it. The other one is more just it's life in and of itself, and it gives life to whatever it comes around and makes it something better or more real or something.
Yeah, and the black goo, it kind of brings out the evil in things. You ever notice that? Like it brings out the worst in you, and it does. It mutates you into a new life form too, but it's usually not a good one.
Right.
Usually, like them people go crazy and stuff. So as we come to the end of our video here, guys, make sure you guys go follow my boy Jay Dreamers. All of his links are down in the description. Check out his new book. That link's down below. You know, if you haven't checked out his first book, it's phenomenal. And I'll definitely be checking out the new one myself. So, you know, give that a check out, guys. And they can get your book, Jay, on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. If you just want the book all by itself, you can order either of them or both of them on Amazon. And if you want to order it special from me, I've made that available on my website as well. So if you go to my website, and you click on, I think it's a section called services or about. I can't remember. Oh, excuse
I
me.
always just go right
Um,
here because I got all your links on my website. So, like on anybody, when you're on Truth Mafia, if you go down to the bottom, you'll always see this little thing, and it'll
oh, we'll
have
check it
all.
out. You want to check it out real quick?
Yeah, yeah. Does
I
this
just
take you?
finished it.
I'm trying to see. I thought this one took you to your website.
Yeah, so go up to about. See where it says about right there? I'm going to change it. It says about right now, but it's going to say something else later. So click on that.
I love your website too. It's so colorful and shit.
Thank you. And then just scroll down. These are all the little services that I'm offering. Like people can directly buy my books from me, in which case they'll get an autograph, they'll get some merch. You know, I've got bookmarks and stickers and mini posters and stuff that I design. And then down at the bottom, that's a new service I'm offering as well, which is I got this idea from you because you've done your own consultations. I'm going to be offering Plasma Apocalypse consultations where I actually
Great
make it
idea.
a personalized experience, and I look up people's local geography. We weigh the pros and cons, giving recommendations on, things to include like necessary items in your go bags and stuff. And I answer questions about it. And, there's a whole list of things that people get, including my own personal notes that, on the consultation that I'll email to them as well.
And
And
that's it.
then like there's stuff at the bottom if people want me to be a speaker or be on their channel as a guest and stuff like that too.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. I'm glad you're doing these consultations now. That's really cool. I know Donut started doing some, and yeah, I love doing them because you get to talk to the people. And guys, whenever you're buying your books from someone, yeah, you could go to Amazon, but you might as well just buy it directly off the person. That's the best way to do it. Ain't that better for you too if they bought it directly from you instead of Amazon?
Yeah, way better. Amazon gets half my book sales. Like,
Right. Yeah, they're stealing a big chunk of it.
yeah.
So,
So if they buy from me, I just have to pay for shipping basically.
right.
And
Yeah,
and then
that's
I have to get more merch and buy more merch every once in a while or whatever, but I make way more money if it's bought direct from me. But it's more personalized too because I get to actually transfer my energy into the book, signing it, maybe making notes,
I love.
putting in the merch and stickers and little. I'm probably going to throw in like these personalized business cards that I created too. So for example, like this is one of my new ones. I've got different ones here. That's like the front. It's hard to see with the green screen. And then the back is this sort of Van Gogh looking Plasma Apocalypse deal that I made. It's a very eye catching kind of business card, real thick, real nice, and it's also
That's
kind of collectible.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother.
So they'll all
And
get something like that.
guys, we're not funded by like these multi-million dollar platforms out here where they got billions of dollars behind them. We got to generate our own money. So that's how we're able to do this stuff and continue to bring you guys all this information that you love. And this is my other site. I got truthmafia.com. I also got truthfultv.com. And that's where I do all my bookings and my decodes. So if you want to get a Gematria decode, just come over here. I try to make it real simple for people. Click on that. It'll take you to the calendar. You pick your date, boom, boom. And it just depends on how booked I am. On average, it takes 10 to 14 days from your booking date until you get your decode back because it takes a little time to put it in. But sometimes you get it back 2-3 days later if I'm not booked. Right now, I'm super booked out. So it's about 10-day waiting list, unfortunately. But so if you say you booked it for the 30th, right? You would get your decode back on the 10th or the 11th, and it's all done via email, real detailed breakdown. I create a custom image with it too, and that's all over here on Truthful TV. We also got a shop over here, where we do a lot of cool merch, and all of our merch is to protect you from the 5G. Or we got Obsidian, which they say helps to block out negative energy, black magic attacks.
I've got some of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you were setting up your shop, bro, and a lot of people, they weren't really doing this. And I was telling people like, man, I've been doing really good doing it, and as long as you bring really good stuff to your people and stuff that can help them,
Yeah.
I think they really enjoy it, especially like this holistical stuff. They love that type of stuff, bro. So
Yeah.
I try to get stuff that I know me and you would like.
Yeah, I want to get some stuff that has magnets and stuff on it too. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Man, I wish I had that crystal. Next time, remind me. I'll show you my crystal. I've got one that looks just like that, and I bought it because it's sort of my colors, like the cyan and magenta together. You know that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. That crystal that you seen there, that was called a unicorn crystal.
Yeah,
It's supposed to block off negative energy. And before we go, one thing I want to point out, through my research of all these crystals and stones, Jay, I noticed this. A lot of these stones that block evil and black magic, they also block 5G. I'm wondering, hey, that's very interesting that, is that 5G maybe some type of fallen angelic tech, or, something we don't really understand. It's kind of weird that the same, like tourmaline, for example, tourmaline. If you look at the ancients, guys, the Greeks would go use tourmaline to ward off evil, right? And tourmaline is one of the best elements in the world to reverse the effects from the 5G. So they make necklaces out of it, bracelets out of it. Shungite's another one, but tourmaline's even stronger than Shungite. So I always wondered, I'm like, man, that's interesting that blocks evil energy and it also blocks 5G. It's like, is that similar? I don't know. When they went into the tombs in the Ark of the Covenant, remember they had them chest plates on with all the creation stones on their chest?
yeah,
And I guess it was to block some type of radiation coming off that Ark of the Covenant. I don't know.
yeah.
That's what.
That I could see that actually because they absorb radiation, so it would actually act as like an absorbent shield or something, or mini
Right.
crystals like I was talking about. And that might actually lead to what the real umum and the thummim were that were used by the priests because they were supposed to be rocks that lit up. They were self-lighting rocks or stones or something.
Yeah, it's definitely fascinating. So yeah, guys, go check out Jay's books, check out his merch, check out his website. All of his links are down below. Jay, thank you so much for coming on here today. And shout out to everybody. We had over the whole show, we had over 600 people in the live the whole time. So,
Dang,
they
wow.
obviously, yeah, it was a pretty good show. And we did 2 hours and 56 minutes, guys. So we're out of here. We love y'all. Truthful out.